All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go, though. So hello, everybody. Mega ZardX here. Back at it again to give you another very exciting podcast episode. That being my ZardCast episode 127. And by golly, it's been some time since we sat down in the studio to record a podcast episode. I do apologize about that. Should have had this mess last week, but there was a crap ton of stuff that was happening, at least in my own personal life. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to park that episode and bench it for another week because it was a whole ordeal. But anyway, all of that's past me, thank goodness, because, you know, life is still life at the end of the day, though. You just got to find a way to cope with it and whatnot, though. But yeah, that leads us to this episode tonight. And with me tonight, I got my good old buddy over here. Steven, how's it going, man?
It is going good. We got a lot I'm going through personally as well. Not as much like not much conflict. It's like I've had like just a lot of changes happening, good and bad.
Like all things in life, you got the good, the bad, and sometimes a little bit of ugly, though.
Yeah, like for example, this isn't going to be a podcast topic, so I'm sure you've seen that Spirit Halloween is doing like a Freddy Fazbear animatronic, right? I'm sure you've seen that.
Actually, no.
Okay, well, that's all you need to know. That Spirit Halloween is doing a Freddy Fazbear animatronic, and I have gone to 5 Spirit Halloweens, and they all only got one each, so it's gone everywhere. So I'm currently on the hunt.
I hear you. Well, while you're talking about stuff that's not as strong as like a podcast topic, I do have a little bit of housekeeping to do in terms of just the whole podcast in and of itself, though. Nothing that's really bad or super negative, but like Steven says, things can change from time to time, and this is one of those changes here. So with the way how our schedules happen to do it, normally we will host these podcast episodes every other Sunday night. That's how it's been for, oh my gosh, the better part of probably close to like
3 years, I probably would say.
3 years or so. Yeah, I mean, because this is episode 127. I know we at least did like 80 plus. 80 plus episodes were probably on these Sunday nights. And I always like having them at these Sunday nights. So it's just a good way to kind of, chill out from the weekend and roll into the start of the next week. However, with some job changes and stuff between us and such, Sunday nights isn't going to be necessarily a thing that's going to be plausible, at least from this point moving forward. So the plan is, this is going to be the last time we're going to go live on a Sunday night. And from this point moving forward, we'll do every other Thursday night. That's going to be the goal that we're going to shoot for. And we'll stick to that, at least for the first few, get a good feel of how that feels. But more than likely not, that's probably going to be the new night that we're going to host these podcast episodes, though. So if that happens to work for y'all, good. Obviously, if not, then, there's the vlog version that you're able to listen to later, or the audio onlys, though. But in terms of us going live, Thursday nights moving from this point forward. So we won't do it this Thursday, but it will reset on the next Thursday after that. That will be the first time that we'll air on a Thursday night.
So do we do it Thursday or we don't do it at all? So, I think this is a good solution.
Yeah, because there ain't no way we're going to be able to do this mess on a Friday or Saturday night. Look, I still got lives to live, and I still got things to do. Fridays and Saturdays, we'll have a whole lot more conflicts if we did it that. So it was either Sunday or Thursday now, and that's where our hands kind of forced that, though, unless these were like pre-recorded. But yeah, going from this point forward, every other Thursday night. So if y'all happen to be enjoying these on the Sunday nights, I greatly appreciate all the time you've been able to tune in live on these nights, though. But hopefully, the change happens to, welcome some good stuff to the show. We'll just kind of leave it at that. All right, that's pretty much it in terms of all the housekeeping stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and jump over to the main part of the show with all of our topics. And actually looking down at the show notes, to be honest, it's going to feel like almost a 50-50 with pop culture stuff and 50-50 with gaming related stuff. That's just kind of where we're at right now, because even though we've been on for like 3 weeks or so, I hadn't felt like a lot of crazy bit of news has been happening in the gaming spheres. I mean, people still kind of trying to cope, if you want to call it that, with the whole, physical media, eventually going away in 2028. Like, a lot of people are still kind of fixated on that. But outside of that news bubble, I don't think anything else brand new, super crazy has been happening. I got some topics that we'll still talk about, though. But we'll kind of leave it at that. So let's go ahead and jump up in the show, though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that pop culture segment. Alrighty, Steven. I don't know about you, but I felt like we've been getting quite a bit of Avatar news as of late. Like we literally had
Yeah.
the Avatar movie, the one that's focused on Aang and Team Avatar. Then we had the Netflix series show, which I still gotta keep busting and grinding through that. I like the first episode of what I watched, and then they dropped the trailer for Avatar Seven Heavens. That's the one I wanted to talk about now.
Seven Havens.
Or Havens. I really want to. I really want to say Seven Heavens, but it probably makes more sense for Havens.
You're thinking
but...
7 Minutes in Heaven, like the one where people like make out and shit.
Oh dear, no, not that. Oh golly,
that's probably what you're. That's probably what you're thinking. That's probably why you want to say 7 Heavens.
I don't know. I don't know about
I can't think of anything else that has to do with 7 and Heavens.
Okay.
All right, whatever.
But anyway,
yeah.
So that they dropped the trailer for that, and I was just looking at it, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. Because I don't know, you have to probably knock off the cobwebs and stuff off the top of your head, Steven. But if you could think back to like the Legend of Korra, the way how they told the story of the first Avatar, how he got his powers, how he was able to bend all the first 4 elements, it's kind of like an evolution of that specific art style. It's kind of what I'm getting from the vibe of this one. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. Maybe something closer to what we got with the Aang movie. It's a little off-putting, but I don't know. I'll still save the judging and stuff until we actually manage to lay eyes on, this series.
The animation does not look that great. That's my main takeaway. I don't really care about the story stuff because Korra, this is definitely like gonna rely heavily on like your enjoyment of Korra because there's a mystery like. There's some kind of bad event that happened while Korra was Avatar, and we're gonna find that out. I think all of the episodes release either on the same day or in the same month on Paramount, which is a very weird choice. Like
I don't know if they're dropping all of them or if they're. I don't think they would do a weekly thing.
I heard rumors that they're dropping all of them all at once. Which does Nickelodeon? Okay, does Nickelodeon hate Avatar? Because they screwed over Korra, and now they're screwing over this, and then they keep making live action fucking slop that nobody cares about.
Now, hold up.
What?
You're probably right on 2 of the 3. The live action one with the Netflix one, it's not bad. It's different, but it's not bad. That's all I would say on that.
Respectfully disagree. But it's still whatever. Still more Avatar content. The fact of the matter is, though, why are you making that? Well, why are we doing this instead of just making a new series?
I mean, even if they were to make a brand new series, it probably would go on Paramount anyway. I don't think they'll just air that mess on Nickelodeon. These kids are a little different now.
I'm talking about the live action.
Oh.
Why remake what we already have in live action and spend so much time, money, and resources for something we already have? Like the cartoon will still be watched years from now. This isn't replacing it, so why make it? But that's a small thing. Whatever. The live action is like something that's already happened. 7 Havens, it looks alright. I don't know, like the character designs I'm not really fond of. They just look a little like, I don't know if pandery would be the right word, but it certainly looks like it's ticking off its boxes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the art style either. And I don't know, something about that cat, even on the little thing I got on the TV right now. It ain't doing anything for me.
It seems like a show very specifically catered towards a certain audience. And also, I don't know, the Avatar brand has just been riding on so much nostalgia. And here's the thing, I actually watched the Aang movie, and I liked it a lot. So it's not like Avatar can be bad. Well, it's not like Avatar's always bad. Avatar can still have, good stuff in it. But, it needs to be carried by, actual, quality. And the animation is beautiful, I'll give it that.
We'll probably talk about it maybe in the next episode, because who knows what topics we might have, because I still need to sit down and watch it. But once I watch it, we can kind of talk about that, because I really do want to talk about it.
All I'll say is I like it. You should get to it. It's good. I liked it. I did not expect to like it.
Okay. But outside of that, it seems like there's a decent bit of Avatar related stuff in the works. Whether or not some things hit or some things miss, that's to be determined. But I don't know. I have to keep an eye on this one because this is like brand new stuff beyond the story of Aang and beyond the story of Korra. So I'm interested to see how the story will go, but will the animation kind of stick or stay? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see because at least as much as we give crap to Korra, at least that still looked like Avatar at the end of the day.
Okay,
It's kind of what we're used to, but everything
The
beyond
problem
that,
was
yeah.
never. Yeah, the problem with Korra was never the animation. It looked perfectly fine. Looks great compared to the original series. Like right alongside it. There's no issues visually. People have issues with like the characters, and honestly, the biggest issue people have with Korra is Korra herself. And it seems like this show is gonna either heavily focus on her or like it's
It's
gonna
more. I think it's
gonna,
more so the
gonna revolve.
ramifications of events that she has done. Because think about
Yeah,
it,
but
the avatars new and in this era, but it's more like dealing with the aftermath of whatever she happened to kick or stir up. That's basically what
I'm
we're
gonna make
doing.
a very safe prediction that whatever she did wasn't that bad and everyone is just misunderstanding. Like
Yep.
she did something for the greater good that makes her look evil, but they'll never know it, but she saved them and blah blah blah, which is really fucking boring, but like whatever.
I mean, that's kind
Like
of what I was thinking of the whole time. It
yeah,
makes sense. It's just how
it
they
would
tell that story. Yeah.
it would be interesting if she actually did something that like is morally gray, like you probably shouldn't have done that, and she'll be like, oh, maybe not. I don't know. I feel like that would also be an interesting way to take it. But
Yeah.
whatever though. Yeah, we'll see what they do. Maybe it is that. I just especially with how modern media is and how Korra was, I don't really have that much faith in the story.
No, I'm kind of right there with you. But I think outside of that, that's probably all we can give for our thoughts right now. But hopefully, we get some more Avatar related news stuff. We'll probably be able to talk about in the next episode, though. So yeah, so that's it for that. And then the only other standard pop culture stuff before we talk about all the Marvel related stuff is I don't know if you had too much to say about this, Stephen, but I got a couple things I want to say on this thing though, because in the lead up to almost about to watch Spiderman or whatever though, like it was like a few days before that movie came out, I did see a new trailer for Jumanji Open World. Now, before I go any further, Steven, have you watched any of the previous Jumanji movies?
I have not watched any of the previous Jumanji movies, but the trailer for this one did appear before Spider-Man, so yes, I have watched it.
Okay, you need to sit. I think you will like it because it's actually pretty funny. Because obviously you have like a stellar cast like between like The Rock, Kevin Hart, and the other two that are in there as well. It's funny seeing their personalities and stuff bounce off of each other though. But then you also have like these other the quote unquote like IRL characters or whatever though, like the people in the real world that play as those specific four characters, and those four characters between like The Rock, Kevin Hart, and all of them, they have to act like the other people that are based on the real world. Because it's basically like they go into a game and they're controlling these avatars or whatever though, and they're trying to do whatever it takes to kind of get in, get out. Essentially, it's like the basic plot premise of it. There's like two movies that happened prior to that one that you saw in the trailer for the theaters just now. So I'll highly recommend going back. This is like one of those movies where it's like, okay, I know I'm gonna get a kick and a thrill out of it, and I haven't been to the movie theaters outside of Spider-Man or whatever though. I think the last time I went was like with the Mario movie. This one would be one that actually will get me back into the theaters again. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed those other two Jumanji movies though. So it's kind of cool to see how these characters are actually brought over into the real world now, along with you still having the real world characters actually interact with them. It's kind of weird. It's like there's another movie that's also like that too. I don't know if you're thinking about this one, Steven. It's like one that's based on a board game or whatever though, but they actually come into the real world or something like. Doggone it, that one slipped my mind though too.
I
But it's very similar to that in this movie
sounds
now.
sounds familiar. I don't know. There's a lot of movies where it's like fictional thing in a real world. Even like I just saw He-Man or Masters of the Universe, and that has a very similar like thing. Well, it's kind of the opposite, where thing from real world is thrust into magical land of whimsy. It's like, oh, that's pretty cliche. The trailer was entertaining, mostly. Oh, like Kevin, I like Kevin Hart, and then Dwayne Johnson is kind of like a hit or miss. It really depends.
No,
Sometimes
he's
I
been
like
good. He's
him.
been good in the past 2 movies within this series. He's good. It's
Well,
it's
no,
interesting
I
to seeing him
believe that.
act like this because he's trying to act like an actual like a generic like game character that's like in their demo mode. It was kind of weird seeing him like that because I seen him in like 2 different other personalities in the previous movies, so it was kind of funny.
Well, I think that yeah, like that's interesting. He probably actually has fun doing these because they're like different, and he's not just overly serious badass.
Oh, that's the movie
Or
I'm thinking
maybe
of, Zathura. Oh shoot,
oh,
I haven't
that's a
seen that.
fucking old. Oh, yeah, that's an old movie.
Yeah,
That's a very old
yeah.
movie.
Golly, that's what I was thinking of with the reference. But yeah.
But yeah, I might see the old ones. It's like I don't know. I've heard good things. I heard people like them. But Jack Black's also in them. I'll probably get a kick out of that.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like they're I could probably watch worse, obviously.
no, I think you'll get. It's a funny laugh. It's not like a movie you want to watch like time and time again. But I think you'll thoroughly enjoy the previous 2 movies and probably this one if you ever just sat down and watched them. I don't know. That's all I wanted to say because I actually kind of like this series.
Fair
All right.
enough. I got my guilty pleasure movie series as well. I
Yeah.
get it.
Alrighty. Well, that's pretty much it in terms of the generic pop culture stuff. So now let's go ahead and jump over to the next segment of the show, that being what's in the Marvel news. Alrighty, Steven. Well, last weekend we were coming right off the heels of Comic-Con. And if you know anything about Comic-Con, it's one of the biggest old conventions you can ever have, especially relating with things that are around gaming, but more than often not, we always think about our comic book related stuff. And Marvel always has a presence at that convention every single year. They typically tend to announce brand new projects, stuff that's in the work in the pipelines and stuff, what to kind of expect within the MCU next. So I always have that one circled on my calendar though, because I know that means I got to talk about a good fat chunk of section in my podcast episodes. And we actually got 2 different movies that's confirmed to actually come after the events of Secret Wars. And I hope y'all enjoy this Marvel segment because we got 4 different things to talk about in Marvel. So the first announcement is they confirmed Ghost Rider is going to be coming out in the year of 2028. Because Secret Wars comes out in 2027. Ghost Rider is coming out in 2028. And out of all brand new Marvel IPs that could potentially start off a post era of Secret Wars, Ghost Rider wasn't necessarily on my bingo card list to say the least. What were you thinking, Steven, when you saw that?
I was thinking like sequel to Fantastic Four would be announced because I think that movie did okay, but like I don't see them just abandoning the Fantastic Four after their debut in like an Avengers movie, or maybe like a solo Doom movie. I don't know. I was thinking some other stuff with what we already have, or even just some more details about the X-Men because everyone's like, oh, they're doing the Mutant Saga next. The Mutant Saga is the next saga. I don't know. Thought we were gonna get some details on that. Ghost Rider is not what I expected, but it's certainly different. And I don't know, it kind of gives us some insight to what the maybe whatever the MCU is gonna be post Doomsday or post Secret Wars. I
Yeah.
kind of hope it just kind of stays grounded again.
No,
Well, like not
I think it is going to
too
be
much,
grounded.
but
Yeah, because I mean, if you're starting off with a character like this as potentially the first movie of the year or the first movie of this brand new saga, whatever it happens to be called, we don't know what saga is basically coming up next. I mean, it has to be a pretty grounded story because you're starting with a character that not as many people are going to have as much knowledge to on the cinema, big screen like that. Like the greatest extent for me what Ghost Rider is within the games themselves. Like obviously, like, I'm thinking about like with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 or whatever, though, like seeing them and stuff like that. That's where most of my context or knowledge comes with that character, but not so much the
wait.
movies. I don't know too much within the comics itself.
Oh, I don't know. Basically, all I know is that I don't really know that much. I just know that he like made some kind of deal or like this and that, and he like punishes. he's an anti-hero
Yeah,
from
he
what
kind
I've
of made a
gathered.
deal with the devil kind of ordeal. It's kind of that's his origin kind of ordeal. But yeah,
I think I've seen a clip or two from the Nick Cage one, like, but that's really it. I don't know much besides that. Um, there is another. This is purely speculation. But basically another thing that people have been saying is that like these movies that they announced are like movies that will take place during the events of like Doomsday and Secret Wars or something. Where basically, I don't know if you've heard about Battle World. That's like a big part of
that's a
like the
whole thing
actual
with
Secret
potentially
Wars
with Secret
comic.
Wars. Yeah, which
I don't
I
know. I
think
did
that's how
see
that's gonna
some.
play out. Yeah.
I've seen some like stuff about how maybe Secret Wars doesn't even end with like a conclusion, and like the next few movies after Secret Wars will still be on Battle World, which I think would be really interesting. Like having Ghost Rider and having whatever is their next movies, like having those movies still take place on this Battle World. It would make it feel more impactful. You know what I mean?
So basically, you're thinking because how Avengers Endgame ended, it wasn't necessarily the end of the Infinity Saga. Technically, Spider-Man, which one was it? Was it the second or the third one?
Well, Spider-Man: Far From Home is technically the end of the Infinity
Far,
Saga,
yeah,
which
Far
really
From
does
Home. So that was the
makes no
second one.
sense.
That was the second one. That was like a epilogue in a sense, if you will, because they were talking about Iron Man's death and whatever. Though Peter Parker was going through all of that stuff. The way how you're describing what could be these two movies would be like, oh, it's not quite the end of the multiverse saga. You're saying basically these two will still be part of what will be like a post game after the events of Secret Wars, which right now
That's what I would hope.
I don't think it's gonna be quite like that. I don't know. Something about it is just kind of like I
Well,
don't know.
because I would kind of like that because then you can have a bunch of movies really actually building up Doom as a bigger threat. Because like they're really just going straight into Doom
Well,
with no
that's the
setup.
thing, though. I think Doom's story is going to be basically told between Doomsday, obviously, and Secret Wars, and that's it. I don't think they're doing
And yeah,
anything else beyond those
which
two.
is crazy because he's got like a lot of stuff going on, and also he's like I don't know. These movies are very bloated. Like you got X-Men, Fantastic Four, so many rumors about other characters that haven't been confirmed. Like there's a very popular script leak out there that the trailer almost kind of confirms. This movie just looks like it's gonna have a lot of stuff in it. I genuinely don't know how much room you could possibly make for Doom's backstory. So I don't know. I kind of hope that his story doesn't end with Secret Wars. I don't think Ghost Rider directly will lead into that, but like
I'm just
whatever the new
I'm just
world of the
saying, prepare
MCU is.
yourself because I think they're gonna treat it just like Thanos, where it's like, you saw him within, both Infinity War and Endgame in this greatest context. You had snippets in previous movies with this in credit scenes, but that didn't. I mean, outside of
Well,
it, kind of
okay,
knowing the name, you didn't really see the face too much.
yeah, but
Is
to
what
be
I'm
fair,
basically getting at.
even
But
if
yeah,
even if Thanos didn't really make a direct appearance, the Infinity Stones are like major parts of almost all the movies. So even like it still felt like very complete. There was like a post recently. Kevin Feige was like, "Oh, Thanos, we didn't give that much build up to either," which completely wrong. He makes like a teaser appearance in.
well, he's
He
probably
make
just talking
okay,
about the character
which
itself,
is
which
dumb
which is
because he
basically
still
like
made
what
more
that
appearances than Doom.
he pulled out the gauntlet. That was one, and then there was one other movie I think where he actually
Okay,
kind of showed his face.
listen.
But outside of those two things, I think that's what he's trying to get at is
All right,
we just barely showed him. But the events or the ramifications of what he was going to do and what he was going to accomplish, that side effect thing was all the build up that we kind of attached with Thanos, which I guess he wasn't
oh yeah,
referring to with that part, which I get
yeah.
that part
Like
fully.
I won't dwell on it quick, but basically in the first Avengers movie, you find out that he was kind of like the mastermind behind Loki and all that, which yeah, you don't really see him that much, but just finding out that he's behind all that still makes him an interesting villain. It's like you know, wow, he must be have a extremely powerful or have a lot of like people on his side compared to fucking what my fucking brain. I'm sorry. Compared to Doom, where technically, if we're not going off of any pre-release stuff, the only setup for Doom is him appearing at the post credits of Fantastic Four.
Yep.
There's nothing beyond that, which
What
is why like There's nothing. Is there a single other thing about
No,
Doom?
not really, because you have to keep reminding yourself that this movie that's taking place right now, it wasn't originally meant to be
Well,
about Doom.
that's
It's
just
supposed to be
yeah, but
about Kang.
they
Kang had all of
yeah,
his
but
backstory stuff, and then it flipped. So I mean, call it
well then
unfortunate
I
circumstance, but they couldn't afford to even do anything with Doom at this point because
here's
they
an
were trying to
idea.
do something with somebody else.
Here's an idea. Recast Kang. Why can't they do that?
I don't know. I thought about
And
that for a
okay,
good long
we're
hot
in a
minute, but
worst case scenario. Let's just say you can't recast Kang, which is BS because they've recast characters in the past.
it's probably because he showed
Um,
up in too many projects, and then people
which
started getting the name with the
I don't
face, and I'm like,
know
I don't know.
because Thunderbolt Ross, aka Red Hulk, his actor passed away. They recast him, no problem. He's in
But
like
then
a
again, he
decent
doesn't
amount of
show up in
movies.
too many movies, so it's kind of like, all right, it's not like
He was in enough. Like
and
he was
enough,
in like
but they're all spread out over like years upon years. So it's not like
yeah, I
you're kind of
guess
just holding on to that one person. Whereas
yeah.
with Kang, he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He was in that whole Loki series like that. Like you started to kind of recognize his face a bit more so with some of those projects. So it's like,
Okay,
okay, then, So I
I
think
thought
that's
of a
kind of
very
where it
simple
is.
solution. I thought of a simple solution. You don't have to rewrite anything. Make him more prominent in Fantastic Four, or at least show him, or have him speak.
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
how hard would that have been to have a scene of him talking to Sue, because it's established that like in Fantastic Four she has like the council of like a bunch of different countries, and like you see the chair for Latveria, and you don't Doom isn't there. So like you could have very easily had like a scene establishing that they know each other, or at least that he's from that universe beforehand. Literally anything. Could have had a fucking post credit scene and I don't know what with Thunderbolts, or of just him show. I know like they have a post credit scene in Thunderbolts of the Fantastic Four, but still, man. Or you could have pushed back Doomsday. You could have just delayed Doomsday and been like, "Hey, we need more time to properly
They
set this
already
up.
delayed Doomsday.
Delay it again. Make a
No,
Doom
no, no.
movie. Make a movie about Doom, or make a Fantastic Four sequel where he's the main villain, and then have him move over into our universe. Or I don't fucking know. Either
I don't
way,
know. Either way,
however
you
they
deviated so
handle
far off of
Doom,
Ghost Rider. I was like, no.
yeah, how I don't know. Well, because like the MCU, like it is like in a definitely a bit of a weird spot, and we're gonna talk about the Doomsday trailer. Just you wait.
All
But
right.
Doom. Besides, let's for completely ignoring Doom for a second. Ghost Rider. I think it's Ryan Gosling is the star, which that is certainly like a big name.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised he hasn't already been in the MCU, honestly. So we will see if that star power is enough to carry Ghost Rider. Because let's be honest, Ghost Rider is kind of like a niche character, all things considered, at least for the general public.
Yeah,
So
and I mean
I
they
don't know
could.
how well it
I
would
don't
do.
know. I don't think it's gonna get nearly as crazy like what they did with Iron Man, because Iron Man was technically niche in the comics before what they did within the MCU with him.
He was
So
still he was still like
he
a founding member of the
yeah, no, but
Avengers.
no one really, like, I would say, cared enough for him, like a billion and one, like the way how people do now. Is what I'm getting at. Nowadays it's like, all right, people want the merge. They look at Robert Downey Jr. They're like, man, I still miss the dude. Hence the reason why this dude shows back up as Doom himself or whatever though. So I don't know. Robert Downey Jr. He made that character. But anyway, I'm leaving all those thoughts aside though. Ghost Rider, I like where they're going with the uniqueness of pulling in a brand new character, because there's a lot of people they can pull from just the Marvel universe in general, though. So I'm interested to see how that character plays out. So that's one of the movies we're supposed to get in 2028. The other movie outside of Ghost Rider is Black Panther 3, which that's actually got a release date as of now, assuming they ain't going to delay it anymore, for December 15th, 2028. And that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. And actually with this one, because obviously we know, Black Panther with the original voice actor that or not voice actor, the original actor that happened to pass away. Then they rolled it over to his sister to kind of play the Black Panther role in Wakanda Forever. And in the post credit scenes, they set it up as, you know, he actually had a child, and that was going to be the brand new Black Panther. So they actually said the actor for this one, if I can scroll down my little tweet, it's going to be played by David Johnson to play T'Challa's grown son in Black Panther 3.
Which that already implies a relatively major time jump.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of weird because
doesn't
Wakanda
Black
for
Panther 2 take place like modern, like right after Endgame?
roughly right after Endgame. I don't know exactly how many years has transpired after Endgame or whatever though. But I mean, since since this is in a post Secret Wars era, I mean, they got some wiggle room and they can mess around with some time a little bit though. So regardless to say, they can say enough time has passed by the time this movie has came out though. So I think it'll work its way out.
The thing I'm confused about, like, are they just gonna dismiss Shuri as Black Panther? Like, is she
no, I think she will still be there. She might be a little bit older in this movie or something like that, or doing some stuff on the side. But they probably will make a nod to it as, yeah, I got to hold the mantle for a little bit of time, though. However, I'm getting a little too old to kind of do all the stuff that I would like to do with Black Panther, but I'd rather stay on the research supportive side and support you because now you're kind of the rightful heir to the throne, kind of. That's the premise of what I'm kind of getting at with this movie.
It's very interesting, and like it really does beg the question, like this is a useless plot. Like, just recast T'Challa. Isn't the kid named T'Challa? Like, it's T'Challa's son. Does he have a name, or is his name also just T'Challa?
That I do not know, but I think
if his name is just T'Challa, it really begs the question. Like, why not just recast T'Challa with him?
Well, the problem is you can't do that now with what has happened because the fact they acknowledge T'Challa died, more so respect on the actor for passing away. So you can't do that now. It will basically negate the whole meaning of Wakanda Forever at that point.
Oh, well, to me, it is definitely a very interesting choice to even do that in the first place, because there have been other actors in the MCU that passed away, but the characters still remained. Like, like I said earlier, Thunderbolt Ross. They didn't kill off Thunderbolt Ross. They recast War Machine, like, relatively early on.
And to the credit of War Machine, luckily he was only in one movie. Before then, they had to reuse the character from that point moving forward. So
there are others, but T'Challa specifically is the one where they were like, no, we're not recasting, which is just a weird choice because it kind of fucked with the story.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, whatever plan they originally had for Black Panther 2 was completely changed.
Oh, no, it definitely was. And they might retcon or go back and try to re-implement some of those plots with this movie. We'll see, but...
you could just definitely tell that, Phase 4 of the MCU was held together by fucking duct tape and glue. I do not know what was going on.
It's just unfortunate circumstances when you get people passing away and then people committing, crimes or whatever else or whatever, and then allegedly, yeah. And then
Jonathan Majors, like, to my knowledge, like, either wasn't confirmed to do anything or, like, it was dropped. I don't exactly know the circumstance, but I don't think he's currently in prison.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. But at least for Black Panther 3, I'm excited to see how they'll play out that story. And I think between this and Ghost Rider, even though Ghost Rider doesn't have like a hard concrete release date like how Black Panther 3 does, Black Panther is supposed to be coming out in the month of December. And meanwhile, Ghost Rider's open. So I'm thinking Ghost Rider will happen first. I mean, typically the traditional Marvel cycle of things, the movie will either come out in February, it will come out in May, or it will come out in July, and then sometimes in December. Like, those are the 4 prime spots that Marvel likes to release those movies. So obviously, it wouldn't be December. So I'm thinking it's either gonna be February, May, or July is when that Ghost Rider movie will probably come out.
I'm sure 2028 will also have a Spider-Man movie. They all had 2-year gaps between Homecoming, Far From Home and No Way Home. It was all 2 year gaps.
I don't know if they will
Might be
go
wrong.
immediately quickly into another Spider-Man movie.
Maybe not.
Not in 2028 at least, but I don't know. We'll see. But outside of that, I think that's it in terms of the brand new announcements that happened at San Diego Comic Con for movies that we just didn't know that were in the works as of yet. So that's it for both Ghost Rider as well as Black Panther 3. However, before that weekend, we finally, and I mean finally, managed to get a gosh dang stinking trailer for this thing. Yes, we finally managed to get the trailer for Avengers Doomsday. And I was like, oh freaking shoot. I rolled up out the bed. I saw that mess. And I was like, let's freaking go. I flipped that thing up and I was like, oh man, I definitely have to see this mess because I was like, gosh dang no. And it was certainly a trailer, to say the least. Because remember how in the lead up to this, they were kind of giving it in like small little bursts of just kind of seeing like different scenes with different heroes and how they were thinking or contemplating or how things were kind of going. And that's kind of how the trailer first started up until obviously we got to see like Doom looking down at the ground or something like that. And looking at it, it gives me chills. Just kind of thinking how all of this mess will kind of play out. Because obviously you see it one scene, you see the Fantastic Four coming out of a spaceship, which that was probably pretty much the tail ending effect of from that movie, of them moving from their universe into our current universe, where they get to meet up with Sam, Ant-Man, along with Thor. So you're starting to get the different camps of people starting to kind of interact and stuff. And I imagine Fantastic Four probably are obviously going to be like the first people that will actually know about the threat of Doom because of what was actually shown in the ending credit scenes for Fantastic Four and such, though. And then you get some other shots and stuff like that of like Black Panther in some scenes. And it seems like Thor, it feels like, and you can let me know, Steven, if you feel the same or a little bit different. There ain't no right or wrong answer, though. But it seems
What's
like
up?
Thor is going to be the one. I don't necessarily see him as like the pure leader, but he's definitely that person for the veteran experience where people are going to be kind of looking at. Like, he's in that weird spot where he could easily fill in a what could have been a Captain America or an Iron Man role if they were back in the Infinity Saga. It's kind of the vibe I was getting from this whole entire trailer.
I think. Well, I don't even know if they've confirmed Thor 5. I think something's gonna happen to Thor just to show how powerful Doom is. Not die, but like Thor is gonna be the example, especially because Thor's all going about like I've never been as scared of a threat as this one, and I'm like I get it, like Doom is pretty powerful, but like you've definitely faced worse, Thor.
Well, it's more so the fact that, if you look at, for example, Thanos, he was more of a physical threat until you get the Infinity Stones involved or whatever, though. We know that there's threats out there in the MCU that aren't just only physical, like a Savage Hulk or something like that, or a Red Hulk running around. But you get people
Well,
on the
yeah,
magical kind of side of things. So like people within like the realm of Doctor Strange or Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and stuff that are able to do some magical related stuff, and you can start combining the physical with the magical, and then that's a whole different other kind of unique kind of threat, especially considering
fair
how
enough.
smart Doctor Doom is. So
Well, yeah,
it's a
Doctor
unique
Doom,
villain.
which I guess if we're talking about the Doomsday trailer, we're kind of Doctor Doom is what opens it up. So far, okay, I really hope they do Doctor Doom well because so far, like, everything looks good. You know what I mean? Like he's from Latveria. He has like the Eastern European accent. Like from what we've seen, it doesn't really look like he's gonna be a Tony Stark variant, which I don't want him to be. That'd be lame if he's just a variant of Tony Stark that is evil. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, they couldn't afford to.
Yeah, I would not like them to do that. And he also looks the part. He looks pretty good. I don't know if you noticed, but like on his little shoulder pads, he's got like little. People are saying it's like his armor is imbued with enchantments. One of them is Thor's hammer, and one of them is Captain Marvel's like symbol. So he's already come prepared. He's already like got like a magic enchantment in his armor for the two strongest Avengers.
Hmm.
Which
No,
who knows if
yeah.
Captain? I'm assuming Captain Marvel will be in this movie, or maybe there will be a line like Doctor
Oh
Doom
no,
dealt with
Captain
her or something.
Marvel for sure. I think I mean, for sure she'll be in Secret Wars, but I'm pretty sure there's a strong chance that she will obviously be in this one because if you think back with the end credit scene in the Marvels movie, you know, they had Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and oh gosh, what's the other girl's name? Monica
Monica
Rambo.
Rambeau.
Yeah, Monica
She was
Rambo.
in
She was the one
WandaVision.
that got warped
Yeah.
to a whole nother universe. So I'm pretty sure they hunt to kind of remedy because that's how maybe they're going to
Because
make the
these,
connection and tie with the X-Men and getting them
well,
into this
yeah,
universe. Because that's going to be a whole nother plot point right there to kind of
which,
incorporate within this movie.
well, yeah, from what it looks like, you know, because the one thing that has stayed consistent between the multiverse projects is like the incursions. Like everyone's saying that, like, the X-Men universe, Fantastic Four universe, and the MCU are like all colliding, which
Yeah,
is probably going to be like the big threat.
yeah, because I think the Fantastic Four one that's a pretty easy bridge to the jump and build because you know they got their one movie. However, with X-Men, the one thing we kind of got so far is really only Deadpool and Wolverine, if considering that, and it wasn't like strongly with all the X-Men. So it's
Especially
that one's
considering,
gonna be weird because they're gonna pull references and pull like what was it, Spider-Man No Way Home, where they're gonna pull stuff directly from those previous older movies, and hence
which,
that's honestly one of the reasons why I literally today. It's a little side tangent, but it kind of makes sense. It's one of the reasons today I literally pulled up a Google Calendar and I started marking down all the movies I wanted to go through and rewatch, including pretty much watching every single one of those X-Men movies from like the first X-Men pretty much almost all the way up to Wolverine and whatever one last movie that was after Logan. Basically, I had to go back
yeah,
and rewatch those because I know they're gonna pull those events and put them in this Doomsday movie. So yeah,
some of them are not really that interesting, but like this movie is definitely just gonna be like, kind of the bridge to bring the X-Men in, because like I don't think, well, because everyone's saying like they're gonna, when the X-Men movie in the MCU happens, it's gonna be an entirely new cast.
oh, it
So I
probably
don't.
will be. Yep.
So I genuinely do expect all of these guys to die just to prove Doom's power.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone, but a good chunk of them very well could. Very well could.
Like I don't think Deadpool or Wolverine are gonna die. He's
No,
gonna be
not
doing
not
this
the
till he's
iconic
90.
ones. No, definitely
Yeah,
not
like
Wolverine. I'll be actually kind of upset if they kill Wolverine off.
who knows what's gonna happen? All I know personally is the movie has a lot of characters and a lot of characters that seem that they're omitting. Like for example, what's happening with the whole Young Avengers thing you set up, guys? Is
The
that just
Younger
nothing?
Avengers. Oh, the
America
younger. Oh, I
Chavez,
see
Miss
what you're talking about.
Marvel,
Yeah,
Kate
I wondered
Bishop.
did they have a bigger
Okay.
role that could have been within the Kang movie, but
The only thing
don't
I could
know. I honestly
guess,
do
the
not
only
know.
thing I could guess, because I don't really see the Thunderbolts really being all that important to the space plot. I'm
Well,
assuming that,
they're gonna have some
right?
importance or whatever because well, we can't say all of the things that happen in
Okay.
Spider-Man, so
All I'm gonna
I can't
say,
fully explain it, but
I'll
yeah.
just say this: the Thunderbolts and the Young Avengers will probably be taking care of a threat on Earth, while our main Avengers go and deal with Doom.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar to Infinity War, where there's multiple battles happening simultaneously in different locations.
Yeah, and
That's the way
like
I see that.
Infinity War handled it pretty well, but like they were all established characters. While this movie, it's got like Shang-Chi, which, listen, I don't have a problem with Shang-Chi, but he basically has no connection and has not appeared in any movie besides his own. Would it really have been that difficult to throw him in like Captain America for just like an Easter egg, or like lend a helping hand during one of the fights? Like
It would have
it
been
just
nice because out of all
like
of the brand new characters, well, besides like Fantastic Four or whatever, though, Shang-Chi was definitely my favorite brandly new introduced hero. Like, I'm looking forward to actually rewatching his movie, though. But yeah, no, I
yeah,
really like his character, and I think he would
I'm
totally
really
vibe with a lot of different people. It's just more
oh
so we
yeah.
hadn't seen him, gel or mesh with anybody quite yet. I feel like he could have, like, he could have easily bonded with like people like Ant-Man or whatever,
Well, I
though. But
think,
I mean,
yeah, because
yeah.
like basically every character in Infinity War at least had like two movies. Like they had like a decent amount of build up. Like the only character I guess I was gonna say the only thing I could possibly think of was Captain Marvel having her own movie and then appearing in Endgame. But even then, she does not play a big role in Endgame. So I don't know. Shang-Chi will probably play a relatively minor role, and I'm very glad that they just got rid of the Eternals. Like no
Oh, the
one
Eternals
fucking
was
cares.
that was a hot mess. Out of all the
Yeah,
movies I said I was gonna go back and rewatch from like Phase 4 and Phase 5, it's the one movie I'm skipping. I'm not giving that thing the
there's no
light of
reason.
day. Every other
It
movie
means
I could
nothing.
see actual reasons for it to tie into Doomsday, but Eternals, I'm just unless they show up in Secret Wars and it's gonna be a quick, drop
Okay,
in the pan, then no, I ain't
quite
messing with it.
literally, the only thing that Eternals did
The only
was
thing,
have the giant floating head that comes back in Captain America 4. But even then, I don't
yeah,
know. It could
I
have
mean,
been an
it's
email.
that and slash or the origins of basically how the universe began. That's like I might watch it just to see them explain that origin and then just cut it off after that. That's like the only thing you really need out of that movie, to be honest. Though.
And even then, you did not need 10 of them. You could have had a movie with like 5 Eternals.
Yeah, it was too many. Yeah, it was too many. It's like Avengers
Either
level
way,
cast with a standard movie. But anyway,
there is stuff about Doomsday that doesn't worry me. Like there's some stuff that looks cool. For example, Shang-Chi and Gambit are fighting. Gambit's always cool to see, especially if he has the same accent as he does in fucking Deadpool and Wolverine. I would love
mm,
that. He was really funny in that. Um, I was gonna say, is this a fucking spoiler? Like the ending with like the Sentinels.
I mean, it was in
That's
the
gonna be real. Like,
trailer.
oh yeah, the ending of it was in the trailer, right? It was like the
Yeah,
ending sting of the trailer was like the Sentinels
yeah.
being activated, which that looks really cool, and I think that's a really cool set piece for Doom, especially because like the Sentinels they have green eyes usually, so like Doom controlling them kind of just fits right in. Either way, um, Doom certainly is aura farming, just catching Stormbreaker with 2 fingers when the power of all 6 Infinity Stones couldn't even stop it with Thanos.
Yeah, that's kind of wild right there. And then real quick, I did want to mention this because I feel like this is important just to mention all the characters we know of so far. Because there are obviously some that might be omitted that we just won't see until we actually watch the movie,
Well, there's
and
a
then
big one we
obviously
haven't mentioned.
yeah, and then that leads all the way into the big one. So I was just kind of skimming back through the trailer here real quick. So obviously we know Doom is the threat. Fantastic Four, all 4 of those members. We know that those are confirmed people that's coming over. Um, when they meet up with the crew, all the Thunderbolts, all of them, they're confirmed to come over here. So we got the Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, along with Sam, Ant-Man, and Thor. That's kind of like quick and early on within the scene. Then obviously we have, Black Panther and stuff. And basically any other side characters are going to want to kind of tie in with that. Then they also got over here Shang-Chi. What was the dude that you just mentioned a second ago? That was fighting
Gambit,
Gambit. Shang-Chi,
basically just all the
Gambit,
X
and
Men. Yeah.
the X-Men's going to be so weird, but we did get, I think it was Cyclops that was in this trailer right here. So we have those.
Cyclops was in the trailer, yes. Magneto and Professor X were in the teaser and maybe also in this trailer, and I forgot about them.
Professor X, yes. Magneto, I
Magneto's
think
okay.
I think might have been a teaser, but it wasn't in this trailer.
Magneto's also in a Lego set, so I'm counting that because they did officially reveal the Lego sets. Whatever. You can make
Okay.
fun of me all you want for it. Like the Lego sets are definitely going to be relevant to the movie.
All right, so it's all of them. I already mentioned Thor, and then the last main character, which was kind of the shocker for some people, because I even knew some people that were like, "Wait, who was that right there?" And I was like, yeah, no, that was Chris Evans. That was Chris Evans playing Captain America. Yeah, he's
Could
back.
be Captain America. Not really confirmed to be Captain America.
Oh, don't say confirmed Captain America my foot whenever he's over
No,
there looking at the menorah and he summons that mess and it goes
that
straight to his hands.
no, that still might not be Captain America.
I think it is. I think
There's
it
a
is.
couple possibilities. It could be Loki because by this point he would definitely be worthy after the events of the Loki show
Oh, and
and
then
whatever
Loki. That's
else.
the other dude I forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, Loki was shown in the trailer. It very well could be Loki in disguise, which he already disguised the Steve Rogers once in the past. Could be, could not be. Either way, that's a possibility. Second possibility that's been going around is that this is like Captain Hydra, like a Hydra Captain America, and the twist of the movie is gonna be that he is evil. Like, they think, oh, we got Steve Rogers working
But if
with
he's
us.
evil, the menorah wouldn't have gone to him. So does that really
There's a
add up?
well, there is a comic where there's like an enchantment cast on Mjolnir. You're saying it wrong, by the way. The Mjolnir, it's Mjolnir. Jesus. Basically, like, it just bothers me when you say it wrong because it's like I don't know why. It just sounds so weird when you say it. Basically,
Almost
there's like this comic where Mjolnir is enchanted and it allows Hydra Captain America to pick it up, which people are citing. Who knows if it's gonna actually be like adapted like that? But it's a possibility. Okay, the fact that like he looks very different from the original trailer we seen. You remember that little teaser we got of like Steve Rogers holding a baby, and like, oh, he will return.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He looks completely different in that. Like, he doesn't have the beard. He looks just a lot scruffier. Which you could say that it's just a time jump. Like, let's just say he was with his son, and then there's a time jump, and that's when he's helping the Avengers. I don't know. We'll see. But like, either way, let's just say it is Captain America. That begs a lot of questions. Like, why is he here? How much time has it been for him in this universe? And like, does it still connect to the ending of Endgame? Because in Endgame, he still shows up old,
Yeah,
so he probably survives all these events,
and I
which
was
is
expecting him to
weird.
show up in Secret Wars because that makes sense. They're gonna pull everybody and their mama up in that movie.
Well,
But
I think
for him to show up in Doomsday, that's where it kind of got me. I was like, I wasn't necessarily expecting that kind of power play though. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. We can theorize all day long. We don't necessarily have the right answer, but it's interesting nonetheless for them to do that because now you technically got both Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans back in the same movie after we thought they both kind of technically retired. So it's funny
yeah,
though. It's
listen,
funny.
and they're gonna take advantage. Like, for example, this is purely speculation. I guarantee that in like Secret Wars, you'll see a variant of Iron Man as Tony Stark. Like, you'll see him play Iron Man one more time.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. I'm counting on that.
Like you don't just bring Tony Stark. Like, obviously they bring him back as Doom, but like that's just them covering for getting him as Iron Man again. Who knows if that will bring Iron Man, like a variant of him, back into the MCU? I don't know.
Oh no, not
I
not for anything post Secret Wars.
who
Like we'll
knows?
get we'll
Just
get our one last
yeah.
hurrah in Secret Wars, but that'll be it.
Which them bringing back Steve Rogers was already pretty weird. If you want my opinion, which, oh yeah, by the way, uh, Sam Wilson's Captain America was also in the trailer, but like,
No, yeah, no,
obviously
I mentioned Sam. Yeah.
it just it just kind of undermines him to bring back Steve Rogers. It's like, I don't know.
I guess it depends on when and at what point does he come into the play. Because I imagine that's not early on. I imagine that's probably, if I were to
But
give a
like,
percentage of the movie, that's after like the 60% marker or something like that in the
but
movie.
he's definitely gonna be a major part. Like, you don't just bring back Steve Rogers and not make him a major part of the story.
Yeah, in which there's going to be multiple battlegrounds where this happens, and I imagine, well, maybe at some point Sam will get to see Cap again, but I imagine when they first bring Cap in, he's not going to be on the same battlefield wherever Sam is fighting with some other Avengers. I don't think so.
Yeah, I just hope the characters get a good spotlight because, like, Thanos, for example, he interacts with a decent amount of the Avengers. Like, has his whole interaction with Star Lord. He's got a huge connection to Gamora. Obviously, interacts with like Thor, and then obviously at the end of Infinity War, he has the clash with Steve Rogers, and Captain America actually holds back the gauntlet, which you can see Thanos even surprised about that. And it's a bunch of great details. Like, you see our main villain interact with all of them. Even if we're going back to Avengers 1, Loki has like fun interactions with basically each of the main Avengers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
all
But
6 of the main Avengers in the first Avengers movie equally have like fun interactions with Loki, which made Loki like a pretty lovable villain. Like he was developed. So I just kind of hope Doom actually, with this huge ensemble of characters, some of them will die, some of them won't be that important, but I just hope Doom actually has a huge part to play in this movie. For example, I don't know if you know much about the comics, but in the comics, like Doom is very, very connected to Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. Like
yeah.
Doom and Reed Richards are like sworn enemies, and like it's kind of his whole motivation is to just spite Reed Richards. So if they don't really have a rivalry or in this movie, I'm gonna be kind
Oh,
of
I
disappointed.
think they're already kind of setting up. They already set that up from the ending of Fantastic Four when they had that interaction of Doom looking straight down at that kid. We don't know what the ramifications are
We don't,
after
yeah, we
that
don't even
interaction,
know.
but they could use it as a jumping off point to easily go ahead and set that up. He's like, "Look, this is the reason why we popped up in your universe. We either need this backup or they took my son or something like that." It could be
Well,
something like that.
the whole thing about Doom is that he hates Reed Richards, which like why would he? Why the movie's gonna have to establish like why would he hate Reed Richards?
Which there's
Or
gonna be
like
some
why would
flashbacks and stuff, kind of like how
I
Thanos
hope
did
so?
with some of the scenes that played out with him. I mean, we can go all
Yeah.
day about this though, but
No,
I felt like we almost dissected this thing for as much as we can for now.
well, yeah, it's a pretty important trailer. I don't think we're gonna get another trailer for Doomsday. You know what
No,
I mean?
I think we'll get one. Well, it's kind of like with Infinity War and Endgame. I think we will. It'll just be like one more grandiose trailer, and that will probably hit around where are we at right. We're in August. The movie
Probably
comes out in
hitting like
December,
October.
October ish, late October. Wouldn't it be early or mid? I think it'll be late October, where it's like only
Yeah,
like
maybe.
6-ish to 8 weeks left, and then it hits you with
Probably
that
just.
one last one.
Well, yeah, we'll probably show the remaining X-Men and the remaining Thunderbolts that have not been seen anywhere in the movie yet, and this and that. Well, it's. Listen, I know we've talked about it for a while, but that's because Doomsday is like a pretty major movie. Like this is, after pretty sure after Doomsday, it's an entire year wait until
It's a
Secret
whole
Wars.
a whole calendar year
There's
until
nothing
Secret
slated.
Wars. Yep.
There's nothing slated between those. Who
Which
knows if
I
there will
think
be a show?
well, I was trying to think back with Infinity War and Endgame, but technically we had
Captain
Spider-Man.
Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I think that's it actually.
No, yeah, we had those two that was in between. Yeah, so it was kind of weird.
I think you had something else as well, but I cannot
No,
remember
I
what.
think that was it because Ant-Man was important because they talked about the quantum realm and that's how they brought that
Yes.
back. And Captain Marvel was just there for the extra firepower, but also that's the reason why you saw the little signal thing from Nick Fury at the end of it. So yeah, so that was pretty much it. That was in between those two movies. But yeah, no, utter and complete silence that's gonna be between Doomsday and Secret Wars though. But
So yeah, like
yeah,
we're gonna obviously be talking about that a lot. Let's just say Doomsday like has Battle World in it. Maybe we'll get a TV show about Battle World or something. Like I don't think you know what I mean. Like I don't think they're gonna leave us completely in the dark for that year.
I think it'll just be some Marvel television shows that don't necessarily have a direct tie within what's going on between Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what will happen. Maybe some animation stuff, a Marvel What If, but nothing incredibly deep is what I'm
Yeah, because
expecting.
like they did Marvel Zombies, so it just makes me think, what is that animation studio doing now? I don't think they
Yeah.
just have them doing nothing.
Yeah.
Either way, um, Doomsday trailer. Like I gotta be honest though, if you want me to give my opinion on the trailer as a whole, I'm not relatively too excited. Like it's like we knew a lot of this stuff, and I don't really have like anything crazy excited to look forward to. It's like, okay, the Doom is in it, and he's doing something. We don't even really know Doom's motivation. Thanos was pretty simple. All right, he wants to collect all the stones.
Yeah, I mean they got some explaining to do. I imagine when this film comes out, I don't think we know runtime now, but if it's anything like
About
Infinity War
we
and
do.
Endgame, I think it's gonna be around 3-ish or so out. It's gonna be right up there.
Okay, Avengers Doomsday. At least from what we've heard about the length, let me get it up. It's gonna be a projected like 2.5 hours. I'm pretty 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Pretty close to 3 at that point. So yeah, there's quite
We'll
a bit they
see.
can do up in there. But I think that's pretty much it for all we're going to talk about Doomsday for now. If any other kind of information or that one last trailer that will probably happen a few months from now happens, We'll spitball more ideas again though. But that's gonna do it at least for that. And then the one last bit of Marvel news that we had up here for tonight is Spider-Man Brave New Day, because both me and you, Steven, saw this movie. Before I go too far up in this thing, if you're worried about spoilers, we're not talking about spoilers. We're just talking about our overall vibe checks and stuff, what we kind of thought about the movie in a general sense without going into spoilers. That's just a heads up. All right, now with all of that out the way, though, I went and saw the movie yesterday, Saturday night. And Steven, when did you saw the movie? You saw it on Friday night, was that right?
I saw it Thursday
Or
night
Thursday?
with a coworker.
Thursday. Okay. I had one last hurrah with the coworker. All right.
Yeah, honestly, one last hurrah before I got shafted. But like, I already got something else lined up, obviously, so I didn't really care. But like, that coworker, he's cool. We went to go see it. We were talking about it after.
Okay.
But I guess we'll just start with our like general thoughts on the movie, right?
Yeah, general thoughts, and then I guess well, hold up. Before we get into the general thoughts, let's talk about the movie experience overall. I don't know about you, but when I went to go see this movie theater, I went to go see it at AMC, and that movie was packed. Like there was like people up and down the hallways, a lot more than what I'm typically used to. I mean, it's not like I go to like a slow theater where there's like hardly anybody, but depending on what movie releases are out at any given point, it's like I got some room to kind of walk around, breathe a little bit though. Like we're talking about like bathrooms fulls and stuff like that. I think at least 40%, if not 50% of all of those rooms were like reserved purely for Spider-Man. I even heard how they had like some, I would quote unquote secret films where it was like, hey, they weren't advertised online for you to buy your tickets through that, but if you just wanted to randomly show up and see what was available, they had some to even hold extra. It's kind of what was kind of going around word of mouth though, and it was kind of crazy.
Because listen, when I went on Fandango, oh my god, literally everything was taken. It was genuinely insane how much of the how much the tickets for this movie have been selling. By the way, the movie has had the second biggest opening in box office history. I think it's literally already about to crack $1 billion.
Yeah, it's right behind Endgame, because Endgame's at the top right now. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy seeing that.
Which obviously, like basically every Spider-Man movie does good. Like I never thought in a million years that this movie would do bad, but like, still, man, Jesus, like the ticket, at least the tickets by me were almost all sold out. We finally found a showing that we could go see. It was just in a regular like viewing. It was in standard. We didn't go to IMAX or Dolby Cinema. Well, I don't think there's IMAX because right now the Odyssey is like the big IMAX movie at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they had Dolby Cinema, which is like a different format. I didn't see it in that though. I just went to go see it in basic standard at an AMC with recliner seats. And I must admit, I had I guess I'll just say my thoughts. Enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Finally, some good fucking food.
Yeah, no, it was definitely good. My theater was packed. Everybody was genuinely excited. And I went to go watch it with my family. And of course, my dad happened to be sitting right next to me. And man, he might be old, but he felt like a kid in the candy store. The way how he was reacting during some moments, though. Bruce, that scene right there, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, no, he was popping off like that because it's been a while since we've seen him like that. That's all I would say. But outside of that, though, I would say the movie was very solid from start to finish, and I felt like the pacing was really good. It threw me for a loop, Steven. Once he hit, I would say that it feels like it was the 50% marker of the way of the movie, but it seemed like the movie was about to end until they hit you with the wait a gosh dang minute kind of moment. That part right there kind of got me for a loop because I really thought the movie was coming to an end. I was like, oh, wait a minute. We got a whole nother act to go. But outside of that, I thought it was paced perfectly fine. All the actors did good. Punisher was a pleasantly surprising treat. I knew he was in the movie. I didn't think his role would be that significant with what we had, the way how it portrayed out. But I think they handled his character extremely well. I was thoroughly impressed with that.
I think the way they handled him was great because you don't really have to watch any of the stuff. You don't have to watch anything that he's already been in. You could kind of see him as a new character, and everything still works. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's the running joke between. Well, first of all, his interactions with Peter are amazing. They just have amazing chemistry, both of them.
Yeah, and I like how these two vigilantes act, because this is kind of like the stuff that you would see in the comics. Because New York being New York, people like Spider-Man, people like Punisher, people like Daredevil, all these vigilantes, they kind of know each other. We just hadn't really got to see them interact like that in a movie setting, at least. And I remember coming off of Daredevil and stuff, Punisher also showed up in Daredevil as well. So if you want to see a little bit more of him, you could have watched that TV series before watching this. Though it's not like it's required, but I just kind of like the synergy that some of these vigilantes have, and it was just great to actually see those interactions play out on the big screen like this.
Well, yeah, because it's interesting. Because obviously, there's the whole dynamic of like deep down, Peter knows that like Punisher. Well, okay, good-hearted is a strong word, but like he's like he's not completely irredeemable. So like they have amazing interactions compared to like his interactions with Daredevil, where it's a lot more like a lot more tension. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot more like hostile. Like, oh, I do things my way, you do things your way.
I like how his simple answer is like, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot it. I'm just gonna shoot it. I'm like, bro.
He's definitely Because here's the thing: I've seen people saying, "Oh, he's not as violent," and I'm like, well, I don't know. It's a Spider-Man movie. It's a more fun
He
take on
can't
the
be
character.
he can't be a rated R kind of dude, at least not in this
Yeah,
particular movie though.
he
But you
still
still see
has his
enough
moments.
edginess on him where it's like, okay, he ain't playing around. Like you saw the dude, he was
Yeah.
whipping out that gun, and it's like Spider-Man might have whipped one out, but then he popped up
Oh
another one.
no,
I was like, no.
no, but like that. Well, here's the thing: that moment is equally like cool and funny. It is an extremely like entertaining thing. The way that he just has another gun, like the way he pulls it out, because it became a bit of a meme on Twitter, so where someone just took it and made it like an infinite loop. So just
Oh,
him,
I need to look
Spider-Man
that
webbing
up.
the gun, and then him having the exact same gun and pulling it out with like a smile on his face is really
Golly.
funny. Like I just the way that he's handled in this movie is genuinely amazing, and his interactions with the rest of the cast just make it. Because it's not even just him, like Peter and Punisher. There's a couple other characters that he interacts with that is just really funny to see, and he became one of my standouts, and he makes the movie a lot more interesting because it does show like Peter's not alone. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
all I'll say. But like there's other heroes in looking out for New York. And
Yeah,
I guess another thing about this movie is that it's relatively street level, I guess I'd call it.
I mean, I feel like pretty much all of the Spider-Man movies, from Homecoming, Far Away from Home, No Way Home. Well, No Way
No,
Home,
no,
No Way
no,
Home
no,
had
No Way Home is
No Way
not.
Home. Okay, it had a little craziness because you started bringing in other Spider-Man characters, so you needed the lore between the other five
It's
movies. But outside of
it's
that one,
basically
it's
nostalgia
the
movie.
storyline base has been pretty much been grounded, because that Spider-Man
Well,
at the end of
it's
the day, he's pretty grounded with whatever issues that
like
he happens to be going through, and that's one of the reasons why most people resonate with Spider-Man the most, and that's hence why most people favor Marvel superhero. And the reason why these movies always tend to happen sell, and the reason why it was hard for us to get tickets and it's always in the packed out theaters, because people are just always able to relate with that character though. In which
well,
case he does
yeah.
go through his character arc in this one, and it was kind of nice to see him kind of play a Spider-Man role that's kind of accustomed to what we saw within the Tobey Maguire movies, the Andrew
Oh
Garfield
yeah.
ones, where it's like he was basically all alone, and he didn't have no support from like Tony Stark or nothing like that, because he's dead and gone, and he didn't even have
Oh,
assistance from
okay.
his buddies because they forgot about him from the previous movie though. So he was literally trying to figure this mess all out on his own, and I like how he had to show his smarts. So Spider-Man's actually pretty smart with the way how he does his gadgets and stuff, the way how
He's
he
extremely smart.
incorporates
Yeah.
his police radars and stuff like that to kind of always stay in the know. I mean, if you played anything with like the Spider-Man games or even the ones like on PS5, you see that point blank period. That's just him as the
Well,
character as it is, and it's kind of nice
yeah.
seeing that for once.
That's the core of Peter. He's a kind-hearted nerd who just happens to gain powers, but he that he sharpened. He's like sharpened by it, like his bravery. He's like Peter's like kind of like the ideal hero. He is truly doing it to protect people and for the good of he's not doing it for money or fame. He's doing it because he wants to save people. And honestly, Tom Holland does an amazing job in this movie. I wasn't really a fan of him, especially in I
Which
don't know,
one?
especially
Far
in
Away
like
from Home or
yeah,
Homecoming?
Far From Home, No Way Home. He's like okay. I like him in Homecoming, but like I don't know. I don't know if you remember everyone calling him Iron Boy Junior because it really did feel like the stories still revolved around like Iron Man. Like even Far From Home is like the fallout of like Iron Man's death. And honestly, it feels nice to have a movie that is basically almost completely independent of that side of him. I don't think there's a single mention of Iron Man in this movie. It just
No, there
allows
wasn't.
him, like, obviously, there's mentions of, like, the previous movies, like what happened to Peter in the previous movies. No Way Home's ending plays a huge part in this movie, but they still handle it extremely well. And you mentioned the pacing earlier. This movie is 2.5 hours, and there's really never a dull moment.
Yeah, there
It's
was never
always
a dull
either an
moment, and there's
action scene
always
or good character
something.
growth.
Yeah, there was always something going down. And unfortunately, I want to talk about this, but this would technically be a spoiler though. So I'll just vaguely say this. The antagonist role in this movie, it's crazy how they showed a lot of different things in the trailers for this movie, but did not show that character not once. So I was trying
They
to figure
didn't.
it out, or at least I didn't see the trailer that it happened to be for. But
It was a blink and you miss it. But yes.
oh, okay. Well, okay. So most people might have overlooked it though, but point proven that they kind of kept this mess on the wraps, and that was
Oh,
a
they did.
genuine shock because we saw people like Scorpio up in there and a few other ones. I won't go down the whole list though, but I was trying to figure out like what is the main threat, and it's kind of interesting because it does open up the realm for what else could they bring in for some more characters from that universe? That's all I will say about that, though. But I thought the way how they handled that character was actually pretty well. I will leave it at that. The only other character I guess I could have said beyond that, or the supporting cast, would have been people like Zendaya, as MJ, as well as Peter Parker's other best friend, dude,
Ned.
Ned. Both of them were solid in this movie, and it's kind of interesting because you knew about their characters, but it's just weird seeing how those two didn't necessarily interact with Spider-Man the way how we were used to and accustomed to from the previous three movies because of the ramifications of what happened
Well,
after No Way
they're the
Home.
same but different
Yeah.
in a way. Like it's weird. It is definitely weird to get used to, but I still think they handled it with like the respect it deserves and like they didn't go back on No Way Home's ending. They ran with it and they made it work in a way that was good. And by the way, like there is like kind of one single like remnant of like the old Peter Parker where he's got like the how the in Far From Home he got like the glasses with like the Edith AI,
Oh, golly.
like
Yeah, that's way
the
back
little
then.
AI. I don't know. It's not really. I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer. You hear the Edith AI speak, but like
Uh-huh.
he's got his little not like a guy in the chair, but like he's got his little AI assistant helping him, kind of like how Batman has a Bat computer.
Oh, but that whole Edith thing with the glasses, that was technically Tony Stark.
Well, yeah, that was like one.
So
That
that's
was one
probably the
thing he
one
left
last.
behind.
Yeah, that's the one, and I'm okay with something like that. That
Well, you
one
don't want to.
last part and
Yeah.
get because you don't want to because that is a core of Spider-Man's personality or what kind of made him evolve into the person he is. Like you couldn't just completely rip all of it out. If you gotta leave a little bit of something, I'm glad that
Well,
was like the one
yeah.
thing.
It would make no sense for like obviously Tony Stark is still an important part of Peter Parker. Like even back in fucking Iron Man 2, we see him wearing a Tony Stark mask. Like he was that kid at the end of Iron Man 2 with the Tony Stark mask that he saves. Like, obviously Iron Man is a big part of Peter Parker's like development. But I'm glad, even if he hasn't really moving past Tony Stark, he's doing his own thing now because he's got he's a grown adult now because he was what like high school student by the time Homecoming came along, but now he's like a young adult. doing everything on his own. It really gave me vibes of it
What?
gave me vibes of Insomniac Peter Parker from the PS4 game,
Oh, yeah.
where he's been Spider-Man for a couple years now, but he's got like a bit of a strain in his relationships. Like even at the start of 2018's Spider-Man, he's not with MJ at the moment. He's kind of doing it by himself at the beginning of that game. And throughout that game, like he, meets more people and has like a bit of a personal journey in that game.
No,
I
yeah.
don't know. It's like I'm kind of rambling, but it's actually because I really genuinely did like the movie. Like I have a lot I want to say but can't say about the overall plot. I'll just say that there was one moment at the end where I saw it coming, but like I'll just say the moment that you hear that sound, there's like a scene at the end of the movie that's like quite emotional, and then you hear like a single sound, and it's like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? You kind of get what I'm saying?
Was it still within the running movie, or we're not talking about
In
post
the
credits?
running movie, it's like
Oh,
there's an emotional scene, but then the emotional scene is immediately like interrupted by a sound from something else in the distance.
you gonna have to remind me of that. I'm probably not thinking about it until you actually tell me, but obviously that'd be
I'll
off
tell
the
you
air. But
later.
yeah,
I'll tell you later, but like that moment I was like, God, this movie really is actually well made. And like they put a lot of like it just feels impactful even though I saw it coming.
mm-hmm.
It's definitely more well made of an actual movie. It doesn't rely on constant references, but it still has little nods. Like I think they showed it in the trailer. Like there's poses that are straight out of the comics. Obviously, like Scorpion and a couple other villains are slight little Easter eggs. Like it feels like it's proud to be a Spider-Man movie, and there's so many things. His outfit is perfect, by the way. This is like the perfect Spider-Man outfit.
And I also will say this without going into any detail: when you hit the climax of the movie, and when Spider-Man's like, "All right, finally, I'm gonna just let it loose." That moment right there, whoo, man! And you talk about some
Yeah,
goosebumps right there.
yeah.
Dang, that was a moment
He
right there.
has
That's all I can say. But that's
this
all I can
movie
say. But
has the
my gosh,
sauce.
whew.
This movie has the sauce.
Oh
That's all
gosh,
I'm
man.
saying.
All
Okay.
right, all right. So that's pretty much it in terms of most of my thoughts. If you're wanting to know how the end credit stuff works, there's only one,
Uh-huh.
and it's at the very tail ending of the movie. So it's like not a mid credits or nothing. Like it's after everything, right
Which was
before they would
very
show
weird
the
to
the
me.
logo at the end. It's at that end, and it's not long, but it is something.
Especially with what's in the movie, I kind of expected a very particular one. I thought it was going to be setting up a very specific movie with one of them, but it doesn't.
Hmm.
That's all I'll say. Obviously, I think it's already confirmed they're going to make another Spider-Man movie.
I think Tom Holland got at least two more in him. Like I know for
I
sure I
think
think they're doing at least one, but I think he might got one more in him beyond that. So all in all, like his whole entire story, it'll be told in like the tale of two halves. So it's like the first three and then the second three. I think
I
that's
see
what Sony might be trying to do.
I see people saying the next one will be called Darkest Day, like that they're going to go with the day naming scheme. And if they call it Darkest Day, I can see Venom finally making an MCU
Oh,
debut.
well then that would actually make sense if they did that. Yeah.
It would be very weird for Venom to just be completely omitted. Like, Venom's such a fucking big moneymaker for them.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, they have to show them at some point. This is four movies now where I can't mention the name of this villain, but in the previous ones, well, it was weird because the third one it was like pretty much almost all the classic ones that we were kind of accustomed to, and then obviously in the second one having or in one of them, yeah, having Mysterio, and then dang, what was the other one that was prior to that? Like in
Wait,
Homecoming.
wait, Vulture?
Oh, Vulture was the other one. Yeah, Vulture. That was the other one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vulture was really good. But yeah, like, Homecoming is probably my second favorite out of all these movies because Vulture is just street level.
Yeah.
Like, he's a thug, but, like, doing it. He's doing it for, like, good reason. Well, not good reasons, but, like, he thinks they're just. And it was just really fun to see them clash, especially with a younger Peter kind of facing his first real threat.
Yeah, because I think
But
they did a good job between, the Tobey Maguire, the Andrew movies, as well as what we're at with Tom Holland in his movies. They're not really going back and repeating, not many. There's
oh
select
yeah,
few, but not many antagonistic villains that Spider-Man has happened to face in like the comics or the games and all of that stuff, though. Not
yeah,
obviously like the biggest one that you might think or kind of call as a repeat would be like Green Goblin, but
yeah,
outside of that, it's been mostly brand new stuff. The only one else that I could see them repeating is like what you said with Venom, because it's been a long hot
I don't
minute.
I don't think they're doing Goblin. No Way Home already established that Oscorp does not exist in this universe.
No. I meant the fact that he got brought back again and was shown in No Way Home. That's why I said
Well, yeah,
technically twice. But outside of that, I was just talking about otherwise it's been mostly unique villains every time.
yeah, and I will say this. If we're, I guess we'll conclude it with this. I'm gonna give this movie like an 8.5 out of 10 if we're going by like a scoring grade. I think this movie clears basically everything except Spider-Man 1 and 2. Like the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Oh.
The Amazing Spider-Man movies don't have fucking nothing on this one.
No, yeah, I definitely like this one better than the Andrew Garfield movies. That's for sure. The second Spider-Man one, yeah, that one I still might put a little bit higher than this one. Maybe the
Doc
first,
Ock is just
because
amazing.
Doc Ock is an incredible character. But
He's the best villain out of any of these movies, even better than this one, but this one was still good.
yeah,
Um, Either way, though, like, and then Spider-Man 1 has, Green Goblin, like, in his prime, and I cannot hate that movie just for having, like, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is so good, plus having the Green Goblin in it. It's also a great movie, but this movie does everything right. If I had to make one complaint, I kind of just wish it was longer and had more stuff in it, you know what I mean?
I felt like that. Even though it was like what 2.5 hours, I felt like the movie was like 3 hours and some change. That's how it kind of felt with the
Eh,
way how they did the pacing. It always felt like something was going on where I was just kind of losing track of time. Thankfully, I didn't have to get up at all in the rest and during the movie to actually get up and
I
use the
did
restroom,
once.
so I didn't miss anything. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I
I
was
don't
kind of grateful for that.
no context spoiler. I had to go to the bathroom when Spider-Man had to go to the bathroom. If you get what I'm saying, or like when he was
At the
taking a
office,
bath.
at the office.
Yeah, when he
Oh,
was when he was in the office was when I went to the bathroom. So I
oh,
came
you
back and I was
probably
like, "What
did it
the?"
at a good
I
time because
Well,
you can
yeah, I know,
kind of
I know.
infer what was basically being talked about, but that's kind of funny.
But at least for me, I came back and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I was so confused. My coworker was like, "Oh yeah, he's in the office." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" No, that
That's
was a
crazy.
it was pretty funny, honestly. Either way, though, really great movie. I didn't expect to like it this much. I thought I would be going in and I'd be, at least having a fun time. But I came out and I'm pretty sure this movie is not directed by the same guy that did the last three. I think it's directed by the guy behind Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yep.
So that does explain a lot about why it has the sauce, because that movie, in terms of the fights, did
Oh,
have
the
the
fight scenes
sauce.
were great in Shang-Chi, which now it kind of makes sense why I might like this movie so much. And the reason why I feel like some people probably slept on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Y'all best to wake up because
Because
that is
well, like,
literally the best Marvel movie we gotten within Phase 4 and 5 that introduced a brand new hero. I'm just saying, same dude
it's
directed
only
this mess.
well, yeah, it probably is only not being talked about because it's like a relatively like obscure character. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But outside of that, I would say, in terms of what I rank it out of the score of 10, I gave it a solid 9 out of 10. The only reason why it might have lost a point was because the way how my dad was reacting next to me watching this mess, it probably brought it down a whole point. I was telling him the console, like, calm the freak down, man. I'm just trying to watch this movie. But outside of that, no, it was really great. Solid 9 out of 10 experience right there. And now, Steven, I'm actually looking down at the time. Believe it or not, this is probably the first time ever, I think, in the history of us doing all of these podcast episodes where we talked about pop culture related stuff for a stinking hour and a half.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
And normally I like to keep these podcast episodes like 2 hours, maybe some changeover. I done 3-hour ones, but I ain't trying to make this one a 3-hour one.
Well,
so we might have to make some little bit of pivots here because there's some things we still need to talk about on the gaming side, but I probably won't mention all of the stuff down here in the notes. So I might make some flies on the Discord side. You'll probably see it though. But we still got to talk about what we've been playing with the emphasis on Splatoon Raiders. I still want to mention the main mission with Sony basically giving a response back. I do want to talk about that. And out of all of the SUBQUEST stuff, maybe the Xenoblade 2 thing is probably the biggest emphasis that I will probably mention.
Yeah.
I'll just probably briefly say all the 3 other things, but I won't elaborate. Fine. And that's how we'll end this show off.
Yeah, it should be perfectly fine. It was a pretty substantial week for Marvel, which is not common.
I mean, we've been in a kind of a drought, and then all of a sudden they open up the floodgates, and here we are, an hour and a half in.
Hey, well, guess what? I had fun talking about it, so that's all that matters to me.
All right, so I hope y'all really thoroughly enjoyed this Marvel segment. Didn't think it was going to be that long, but hey, when the stuff is good, the stuff is good. Doomsday, Spider-Man, great stuff, great stuff. All right, so with all of that being said, now we can finally transition over to the gaming stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and quickly talk about what we've been playing. I'm still in a dream, all righty, Steven. So normally we'll talk about what other games we've been playing, but skipping that mess, we're just jumping straight up in it though. Splatoon Raiders. It's the hottest game out there on the block for Nintendo right now. And I've been thoroughly enjoying my experience with this game. And it's crazy because this is the game that we should have gotten, or the experience that we should have gotten, instead of whatever that DLC that we managed to get for Splatoon 3 with Side Order. Because I was not really feeling it, unlike Octo Expansion, which that one was phenomenal. But this one right here, for them to take the core basic premise of you fighting salmonids, but expanded upon it within a single-player campaign that we're accustomed to the 3 different Splatoon games, and evolving upon it with your gadgets and stuff, which is basically like your sub-weapons that you normally will have in any kind of Splatoon, online multiplayer match, but not the fact that you just get one. You technically have access to like 3 different ones at your max potential. And combining all that stuff together with your specials and stuff, how you get to go out in the world and stuff, explore, bring back treasure, upgrade your stuff, tweak your gadgets and stuff to where they're able to do different things, combinations and abilities. That's where the addictive nature of this game happens to really set a foothold, at least within me and pretty much everybody else that happens to play this thing, though. Because, my gosh, this is thoroughly a truly an amazing spin-off game to behold. And I hadn't beaten the game yet, but Steven, did you say you beat it, or you're kind of in the post-game era-ish? I can't remember exactly what you said.
While I'm pulling up some footage. I have beaten the final boss. I have beaten the main game. I am currently stuck grinding to beat the post-game because it is so unbelievably hard. It is genuinely kicking my ass.
Oh no.
Sorry for my language, but yeah, it's getting me, Zard. It is not holding back.
So you would say that's probably like, was it that final battle that you have with Agent? I can't remember what number it is, but that stuff in Octo, yeah, Agent 3, kind of like that.
This is much more than that. This is much worse than that.
Okay.
It is not bad. It's just. It is, obviously, just think about the hardest runs in Salmon Run. Think about being in an enclosed space with like 15 flyfish, 5 stingers, while you have a time limit.
Ooh. Oh no.
It can get a little, I'm just saying, it can get a little stressful. Plus, because basically, I'll give you this details, because I want the chat, anyone listening, if you're playing Splatoon Raiders, I will give you a tip. Okay? In terms of weapons, once you start getting 5-star weapons, find one you like and upgrade the hell out of it, because it can go, let's just say you're at level 50, you get a level 50 weapon, you can upgrade 5 stars all the way up until plus 50.
Wait, you
And right
said
now,
you said once you get a level 50 weapon, you can upgrade it to you
plus
basically
50, you can have 50 plus 50. That's
oh,
how it
so
does
you can
it.
upgrade it 50 more times. Also, the 5 stars can get upgraded that high up, whereas some of the other lower ones you can upgrade them,
Only
but
5.
it's like only 5. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 5-star, like, you do not want to put way too much investment into a 4-star weapon. That is a tip that, like, obviously, once you beat the final boss, you'll start getting 5 stars, and then that will be a good time for you to, like, immediately get a 5-star you like and run with it. And
That
then
makes sense. Okay.
there are extremely hard to find primo weapons, where it's like, for example, there will be like the ABC Splatling, but there's a very small chance to get a primo ABC Splatling, which is just the exact same thing but slightly better, and it looks a little different. It's basically
Oh, is it kind of like
like
the
a
hero
shiny
weapons,
variant.
kind of
Well,
same
yeah,
premise,
but
kind of
it
ordeal?
is better. Like, it does have different stats. It is like, it'll be like maxed out brush speed or maxed out attack speed. So, like, really, the best thing you could possibly get is a primo 5-star, and then upgrade the hell out of that. Because, right now, I'm getting extremely hard missions. Like, for example, Zard, the final boss, it recommends you to be level 40. And I'm getting stuff. Right now, I'm on a level 99 mission.
Ooh, that sounds
It
ugly.
is it is difficult, okay? And I'm not even done. Like,
Hmm.
this game has, like, obviously, like, the main post game I'm about to finish. I'll just say that. Like, I'm about to finish, like, the bulk of the post game. But even then, uh I've seen people that, like, go really far. Like, all I'll say is that there is a mode. It's not endless per se, but there is, like, a thing that you can grind for in post game that goes really, really far.
Hmm.
And I've
Okay.
seen people, like, at level 300, like, still down there grinding. Like, you're at level 32 right now. There are people that are, like, level 300 that are still trying to beat missions. So this game's got, like, a lot of meat to its bones. And then add the fact that it's a multiplayer game, and the multiplayer works really well too. Like, I haven't really had that many disconnects. You could join people extremely quickly, and the loading times in this game are non-existent, so you can get in and out of a mission really quick.
Oh yeah, no, I like jumping in and out of the missions pretty well, or pretty fast. Like that's a good welcome change right there. And then while I got this on the screen though, it's nice to be this mechanic where you're actually able to go through and upgrade different things. It feels like you got like a nice little progression as the stories actually happens to progress. So like you're able to like upgrade some of the hideouts and stuff, and you're able to like use your I guess your little currency or whatever though, whatever that mess is called. I can never remember that mess straight up though.
Spiral it.
Yeah, I like to call them spirals. But yeah, you use your little spirals to kind of upgrade some stuff. Also, some parts that you will get from killing certain types of enemies and stuff. You're able to do that as well. Able to upgrade stuff to your weapon damage, gadget damage, gadget part slots, your HP. HP, I always had that mess on the back burner. I'm putting my stuff in weapons because I rarely ever catch myself dying too often, at least right now. And then obviously, then you have the gadgets, and the gadgets is the part that kind of really steals the show because I feel like this is the main thing that kind of divides this spinoff from pretty much anything else we had previous in the series from like any one of the other three games. Because you have like your three different tanks, you have your speed, you have your power, you have your technical, and you have different things that you're able to equip to it. And once you're fully upgraded, you can actually have like three different things at any given point. So imagine three different speed
Yeah.
things or three different powers, three different technicals. It gets kind of weird because actually once you get fully upgraded, you could technically do something where it's like, oh, you get two speed gadgets and you're able to actually equip only one technical. You can do some combinations like that too. And then
Yeah, the
obviously,
gadgets really make this game special.
yeah. So those gadgets are really cool. At least while I was running through it, out of all three of those tanks, speed is the one I naturally kind of bonded with the best. Power might be number two, but speed is the one that I'm really kind of getting a knack for because I just like kind of getting in and getting out kind of quick. So that just kind of goes into my little play style. I've been mostly maining the splatter shot. Had access to getting the heavy splatling, but with it being salmonoid runs and stuff like that, you kind of need weapons that are kind of really quick. There are quick splatlings and stuff like that though, but I just kind of like to get up in people's faces. So I think I'm just kind of running with Splattershot for the rest of the game, though. But yeah, you got all these different things. You got the lore in the game with these scrolls and stuff. I have to kind of watch some videos later on in the joint, though. But yeah, you have a lot of different things to kind of keep you busy for the most part, though. And then in terms of all the levels and stuff like that, there's a lot that you're able to sink your teeth in. And like Steven mentioned earlier, with it being a single player campaign that you can play completely in multiplayer, you literally can go story beat for story beat with somebody. You can play the game with somebody and you say we're only playing the game when we're playing it at the same time. Y'all both could go through this whole entire story mode and play it together as like a co-op thing and see and experience pretty much everything tick for tat, one for one.
Yeah, you could do like even like the more linear missions with friends, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so a pretty big world map. I only got like one little last area. It's like pretty much like in the dead center of the map that I have yet to unlock, which is probably where the final boss is at. But like as you can see on this map, like there's quite a bit of stuff I managed to go through. And I think my level right now, I'm on level 32. Steven, you said what level you're on? Probably in the 50s or something?
92.
Oh no, never mind. You said 90. I guess there must be a way once you get close to the higher ups. There's probably ways to quickly level up after that
Nope.
point. Or did you just really sink that much time up in this game?
I
'Cause
have
I feel
40. I have like about 40 hours on this game because me and Yoshi played a lot the other day. Been doing some streams of this.
I'm trying to remember how much. Huh, my thing says only about 10. So I
Yeah,
guess that kind of
no,
explains. Yeah.
just beating the base game doesn't take too long. But like from what I've played, Zard, it is genuinely insane that Nintendo thinks this is worth only $50 compared to like something
Well,
like
it's
Mario
probably
Tennis for
because
70.
when they're looking at it, they're like, well, this ain't a total package where it's like you're playing PvP and you have your traditional salmon run and you still have a traditional story mode. Like you're
Like I
incorporating
don't
all
know,
of that mess because
like
ultimately this game's still going to sell and it's still going to sell good. But is it going to sell like a level like a Splatoon 2 or a Splatoon 3 or what could be
no.
eventually a Splatoon 4? No. And I think that's where they're kind of at with pricing and how they're kind of valuing stuff. Not saying it's right, not saying that it's wrong, but that's kind of probably where their head canon is on all of
Yeah,
this.
I could see this game probably making like 10 million by the end of this system's life. But guess what? That's still going to be really good. And this game's doing very well in Japan because it's basically Splatoon mixed with Monster Hunter. It's like their perfect fucking game.
Yeah. So
And
overall,
oh yeah,
oh,
what were you gonna say? Sorry, sorry.
I don't know. I was just about to say overall, I've been thoroughly enjoying my experience with this game, and I felt like this is going to definitely be a game that's going to be able to hold me over for at least a good time period. Or let's say I play Splatoon 3 for like some, online matches, and then I'm like, all right, I just kind of want to do a deeper experience of Salmon Run because maybe you don't want to play traditional Salmon Run on 3 anymore now that we got this experience. So between the
Well,
two,
yeah.
this is gonna be pretty good to be able to hold us over until finally we can get our hands on Splatoon 4 whenever that does happen to go. But you can see how like I'm diving from like one thing to the next, and those
Well,
sub
yeah.
levels though, my goodness.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Zard, this game is just like the constant dopamine. Like you're constantly upgrading, you're constantly killing, like you're constantly exploring. Like there's always something interesting happening in this game. It is genuinely like just so fun to play. I might say that this is my favorite Switch 2 exclusive since Bonanza.
Oh no, definitely that I'm in the same mind camp as you, 100%, fully.
Like this might be game of the year because Ocarina of Time is not a new game. I not really way too interested in the Ocarina of Time remake from what they have from the little bit they've shown. So right now, this is totally like game of the year territory.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me. I must specify that.
Oh yeah, no.
Great game. Great game. Really, no. I can't think of anything I don't like. I didn't even mention Deep Cut. They're all great. Like, it's cool having a game totally based on them.
No, yeah, I'm right there with you because and it's kind of dang. Once I get in the groove of actually playing the match, just for the sake of the footage, then I'm kind of getting all up in the oh my gosh, what the freak. But yeah, no, you see all the craziness and stuff that's going down right here. It's like your skills and stuff, they got to be on point, and your gadgets got to be good. Like there's no way that you can just cheese any of some of these like bosses or whatever though. Like you got to know what you're doing, and it definitely is going to put you up to the task, especially once you start doing tougher levels where they say, hey, you got to rate this on ultra spicy or like really high spicy or whatever though. Like it's really going to test your metal at certain points though. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's difficult, and the game, they expect you to get good. For example, the part where I'm in, I'm not gonna say much, but you know how you select your difficulty at the beginning of the game?
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, between
So,
I think it was easy, normal, and hard, kind of like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
the game basically forces you to do hard for post game.
I bet. Yeah, I could see that. They
Like
probably
they
don't
literally
directly. They probably don't basically say, "Hey,
they do.
wait." Do they actually say that?
They
Oh, this is
literally
technically
say
hard.
survive. They say only survivalist difficulty,
Oh, okay, I got you. No,
which
okay,
is
so there
honestly
you go.
really funny.
Hmm.
It's really funny that they were like, yeah, we don't want any little babies playing this mode.
Well, it's funny how they did say, "Hey, it's time to take the gloves
No
off,"
tourists.
and yeah, no, the game's about to get real. You might get hit and smacked around, but you're gonna learn one way or the other, though. But I always like
Yeah,
stuff like this because when you have like crazy difficulty modes like this, it kind of ultimately makes your skill a lot better. Even when you take it, I would say after I was done doing that Octo expansion fight against Agent 3, it made my skill that much better in Splatoon 2 at the time. So I'm just thinking, oh, by the time I get down to some of that in-game stuff where you're currently at right now, I'm like, oh, that might that might make me even better of a player by the time I'm done with all of that stuff. So overall, really good and fun little game experience right here, though. Can't recommend this enough. If you have a Switch 2, I don't know what you're doing if you hadn't bought in this game though, but you honestly really should.
must
And
play for the system.
yeah, must play.
Honestly.
Must play. But yeah, outside of that, I think that's pretty much all I have for Splatoon Raiders though. So overall,
Wait, one last thing.
oh, go ahead.
Have you had a single frame drop in the game yet? With how sometimes this game can have so much stuff on screen, and I haven't seen a single frame drop.
Not in the middle of the match. The only frame drops that you kind of get is when you're first getting into the level, when you're like riding on that little robot thing like this,
Oh, you
and
get
you're
the loading
about to
screen?
land.
Yeah.
That's the only times I've noticed where the frames are kind of like, oh, what the heck? But outside of that, it fixes right back up as soon as you're about to get into the heat of the action. And since then, no,
Yeah,
nothing.
and it looks so crisp and runs so great. I want every Switch 2 game to be like this, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
That was all. It was just the one thing I didn't mention yet was like performance and visuals.
Okay. All right. Well, outside of that, that was pretty much it in terms of all of our thoughts on Splatoon Raiders. So now we're going to jump over to the next segment of the show where we're going to blast through a lot of these topics here fairly quickly, though, but we'll get through them nonetheless, though, in terms of all of these subquests. All right, so real quick, there's a few different little minor things, hence they're all called subquests for a reason, though. Things I just want to quickly mention. Um, if y'all happen to be a PlayStation fan and you really love yourself some God of War, they actually did manage to confirm the release date for God of War Laufey, and actually, it's coming out next year. Surprisingly, they pulling the mess out of Nintendo's book for once because I'm so used to them announcing a game or showing off a trailer or something like that, and at least it'll be 2 whole years. But this is the reason why was it Santa Monica was able to come out and say, hey, this game's going to be on a physical disc, it's because it's literally coming out on February 16th of 2027. So call me crazy, but that is kind of wild to see a first party Sony PlayStation game be first revealed and released within shorter than a calendar year. That is crazy.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this game was heavily rumored. I'm sure they've been working on this for a while. And also, like, this isn't really this isn't like the God of War 3, you know? This isn't like the next God of War game. They're still definitely making the next God of War game from that studio that's not this, like, you know, next Kratos game. So, like, I'm sure this will be a fully featured game, but it's still like a bit of a side adventure, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, you know, I'm sure, all things considered, this isn't like a huge major release for them. Is this exclusive? Right? This isn't coming to PC?
No, because they said basically all the single player campaign stuff like Wolverine, whenever that comes out, exclusive to the console. It's not like it's going to PC day one. If it would have been like a multiplayer related thing, then yeah, then those are the ones that will usually come to PC, or at least on day one.
Alright. Just curious. But yeah, no, not much to say about that because it's just a release date. We didn't get any new footage. I didn't really like what I seen of the game. It kind of just looked really fucking boring to me. Like, it looked like it was one giant 20-minute movie they showed us. You know, it's good for the God of War fans.
No, yeah, pretty much. Let's see here, but I think outside of that's pretty much all we want to mention on God of War Laufey is the fact that it's coming out in February of next year, which now I think the window frame for a lot of these games, like the first 4-ish or so months of the new year, whoo, it's gonna be jam packed. Y'all best to be ready.
What else is? I don't know. What else is coming early 2027?
Early 2027, Final Fantasy 7 Part 3. You got Spyro up in that same window frame as well. And something else though too. I'm trying to think. Persona 4 Revival also up in that window frame.
Kingdom Hearts 4 might be coming out next year.
But that wouldn't be in the first half. We wouldn't know about that.
It would, it definitely would not. I'm just saying, like, it is a high possibility that it comes out next year, just because, like, we're finally seeing more gameplay, and you know, it's like launching day and date on Switch too.
Mm-hmm. And then Xbox has something with that what's that one IP name? They delayed it from telling of this year to next year. The one that's medieval-ish, kind of ish. Oh, dog, I don't know.
Fable.
Huh? Fable. Yeah, that's coming out in the first few months of next year too, along with a couple other things I'm just not remembering at the time. But I just remember it's getting pretty stacked. You can kind of tell it might be that you know, the GTA effect or whatever though. But that's kind of where we're at right now. That's it for God of War Laufey. Next up, the Duskbloods, they did manage to announce a closed network test registration, so you can kind of apply now. I don't know if the registration. Actually, the registration period is actually over now, though. But
yes, it is.
The actual testing itself is going to happen between August 21st and the 24th. So they say closed network, so not necessarily open. So it's like you have to apply to get in it, but I don't think they're going to be restricted in terms of the footage. So whenever that stuff happens, I imagine people are going to stream the game. We're going to kind of see it in action.
No, closed network test means you're not going to be able to stream any of it.
No, I know somebody is going to show some footage though.
Well, it's gonna be like the Nintendo playtest they did, which technically we can talk about it, but we just can't show any footage.
Well, I guess it also still kind of depends on the way how they put the terms and conditions when you sign up for it. I didn't read any of that stuff to see if it was accepted or if they give you that stuff later, because there have been closed network tests before where it's like, hey, it's not open in the sense that you can just hop into it openly or whatever though. However, it's closed like you get your invitation, you get in, but you can stream it. That's kind of how it was with like Marvel Token Fighters with me, because I got into one of the previous ones where it was closed, but I still could have streamed the game if I wanted to. It all depends on the terms and conditions or whatever they happen to apply. So we will see on that one. But overall, it's nice to be able to see something from it, or at least get to see the wheels turning. But it's starting to make me think, could this game slip into 2027 at this point? I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. Oh no, Duskbloods definitely. The fact that they're still doing network tests and we don't have a definitive release date, and Elden Ring is like finally coming out after being delayed a bunch. No, this game's definitely not coming this year. When would it even come out? There's no time where it makes sense to come out besides, I guess, December.
Well, yeah, because the test is in August, and typically from test to release, they at a minimum would be 1 month. But I'm thinking with a game like this, it had to be at least 2. So that would put it from August to like October. That would be at the earliest. Do you want the no? Because
Switch
with this
Sports
being
also comes out
but that's the
in
other thing though
October.
too, because this is closely tied with Nintendo. They want to let this game breathe and also let another game breathe as well. So they wouldn't necessarily put it in November, because I'm thinking November is gonna be Legend of Zelda, and October you already have some stuff going down with like Switch Sports and stuff. So really, in this calendar year, it only made sense to do December.
This isn't a topic, but Ocarina of Time remake did get rated, so it's definitely like already done. And there's a Kirby amiibo releasing on like November 11th, so that's the date that people are saying it's going to be released on.
Could be, because they usually like to release some games with their amiibos and stuff, or when certain hardware comes out.
It would make sense, get the game out before GTA, let people talk about it first. Because, anything released right after GTA will be swallowed into the abyss.
Yeah, at least that's what I'm kind of thinking. But yeah, so I think that's it for the Duskbloods in terms of that registration thing. And then there was also some kind of crazy little mini update for Mario Tennis Fever, a version 1.1.0, where they literally added in a whole court that's based on Galaxy. So it's probably like the last hurrah for like the Mario's 40th anniversary related stuff. And then they added some new fever rackets and stuff, some new trip hazards and stuff up on that court. It's kind of nice. And then also now they actually have game sharing where you can actually do it online with people, which I was kind of I was surprised that it wasn't necessarily a thing at launch, but I'm glad they added it in regardless though, because I feel like most games, if there is some kind of multiplayer, that needs to be an option somehow. But it was nice. It was fun to be able to play it with other people that don't own the game. So pretty fun.
Yeah, a couple games have added it post launch. I think Kirby Air Riders also technically has it, but they added it later.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
but
not too bad.
Pretty interesting update. I did try it. It by the way, it looks like really nice, like the Galaxy Court, like seeing all the Galaxy assets in pure HD on Switch 2.
Pure HD, all in that 4K. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm assuming they had to remake some of this. They didn't port the assets directly from Galaxy, so it's kind of like, imagine if Galaxy got a remake. It's kind of like it would look like this. Which they did add one more thing in this update, which it could be an omen for things to come. They added like a regular regular overalls Mario outfit for getting 100% in the game. It's like for getting all 5 medals, which getting all 5 medals basically means completing the story mode, doing all the challenges, a couple other things. But basically, that model for Mario is one of the highest quality models of Mario we've ever gotten in a video game, and it's for this stupid ass tennis game. You know what I mean?
Whoa, hold up here! Don't you dare be talking about my stupid old tennis game like that.
I like the game a lot, but at the same time, like getting such a high quality Mario model for a game like this is weird, considering like the tennis games usually don't really have the greatest model quality, even aces. Like the models aren't really that amazing. But, all I'm saying is if they're doing this for a tennis game, next 3D Mario is going to look good.
Oh yeah, I perfectly agree with that. So I think outside of that, that's pretty much it that we wanted to talk about with Mario Tennis Fever. And then the last subquest thing I want to mention up was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the Switch 2 edition, has officially launched, where you can buy the game digitally on the Switch 2 fully if you never owned it, or the upgrade pack. You can do one or the other. That's out there on the market, as well as if you wanted to pick up the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, you could do that as well. My copy did show up in the mail, I think literally on launch day on that Thursday, so a few days ago. And man, it's just nice to have these games in full 4K. It's crazy how Saniki was pointing that out, or our dear friend, and saying how like the storage size on each one of these games is like 40 something plus gigabytes for each one. And if you add all of them up together, that's like half of the storage size of the Switch 2 internal memory. And I was like, oh, once I heard that, I was like, shoot, no. At that point, I might as well just go ahead and rebuy all these games, have them all truly physical, and
Xenoblade
that way I could
Genesis is like
just drop it
60.
up in there. Yeah, because
And it,
you say you're gonna call it. You think it's gonna be 60?
yeah, Xenoblade Genesis, especially just because it's like fully, it's gonna be. I'm assuming made from the ground up for Switch 2. Maybe it started as a Switch 1 title. I don't know.
I don't think it started as a Switch one, but I think fully from the ground up. Yeah, it's gonna be somewhere between 50 and 60. I would take a guess. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's a 2027 game right there. Wasn't even thinking about.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, we just don't know when that will come out. Probably in the dead middle or fallish time, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool seeing these cutscenes and stuff for Xenoblade 2 in like a full fluid 60. Some of those cutscenes is kind of weird because it's like watching anime, like seeing like an intro to an anime or an anime opening being like traditional 24 FPS. You're kind of used to it. But then like someone comes along and says, all right, this is the 4K 60 version. It's like, all right, something just don't feel
Yeah.
quite right about that though.
Well,
Some of
it's
those
because I'm so
cutscenes
used
I
to them.
kind of like that, but other ones where there's not as much going on or not any funny tropes going on, then it's like, okay, this actually looks really nice actually seeing it though. And I would say out of all the 3 different Xenoblade games from 1 through 3, 2 needed this one the most. I was like, oh shoot. Because it was the
Oh
first
yeah.
one to come out outside of the definitive edition in 3, so it needed the most work. And I feel like this is I'm jealous for people that will play this game the first time with this being a Switch 2 edition. I'm like, oh crap, man, this game's so
Yeah.
beautiful, and I want to get this, but I'm not picking it up until my physical copy comes in later, which will be in the month of October. At which case, sometime whenever I do get that game in my hands, I do want to allot out. It literally would take me about a month to actually go through and replay through the whole game again. Like it's been about a
All
decade.
right. Well,
I actually know what I'm doing now, so I'm looking
Well,
forward to it.
speaking of, they actually did put some features in the Switch 2 edition that are very, very helpful for a replay, including field skills no longer being the worst thing in the game.
Man, those
I don't know if
field
you heard
skills
about that.
that got me during some moments, like being like so picky in terms of what you can have. Egg, you got to have the right blades equipped at a certain given moment. Now it's just reading across the whole entire board of blades you have. If you happen to have anything with any one of your blades, then it will just automatically unlock. I was like, oh gosh, that was like one of my major pet peeves. Pretty much out of anything. Well, besides also the bad tutorials where I was learning stuff up to the final boss, but I'll let that thought sit over there on the
Well,
side. But
yeah, that's really a fundamental problem that they can't really fix. I don't know. The game just doesn't do a good job at showing the mechanics. The mechanics, you kind of just have to. I don't know. I feel like YouTube guides do a much better job at showing those mechanics.
nope, that's what I had to do on that final boss, or I was not gonna beat it. But yeah, so overall, it's really nice to see this Switch 2 edition come out for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and if you're wanting to get the physical, that's available for people to get now. So next up will be the physical release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which will be in October, and then the one after that would be Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I think the way how they worded it right now, physical and digital should drop on the same day for that one. So overall, pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. And with all
Yeah,
it, oh, what were you about to say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, this is definitely the best version of this game, especially because it seems like the weird upscaling that really messed up X is not nearly as bad on this one or the first game.
No, yeah, pretty solid from everything I've been able to see.
Yeah, there is a new blade and there is new outfits for Pyra and Mithra, which are both of them really cool. Can I mention one thing that is not on this though, that I think we talked about off the podcast? Real quick, I promise.
All right, it's your time.
Yes, the new blade they added is a character from Xenosaga, but there's no credits for Bandai Namco anymore. And then Xenosaga is no longer on their website, which is definitely it's leading to a lot of people predicting that Nintendo just bought Xenosaga back, which would honestly be really good. Like, I know they've wanted to make Xenosaga stuff for a while now.
Which I guess technically, if they, let's say, if they did manage to buy it back, then maybe they'll let Monolith Soft work on basically making
Remasters?
HD or remasters of those original ones, and they could kind of basically slip
Xenoblade
those
stuff.
in where right now they're giving us these like Switch 2 editions of these previous Xenoblade games, but once Genesis comes and goes, it's going to be a while until you have another Xenoblade something. So in the meantime, they could
Well,
kind of do
I think
remasters of the Xenogears stuff. They could do something like that.
they're gonna probably do. Well, Xenogears is completely different. Xenogears is Square Enix. Xenosaga is Bandai Namco.
Oh, I mean,
Either,
I said Gears. I meant
yeah,
Saga, but yeah.
yeah. Either way, though, I could definitely see them doing what they did with Xenoblade Definitive Edition, where they give all the models an overhaul, bring it up to snuff with the Xenoblade games of new. And let's be honest, they'll probably retcon a couple things just to make it line up with Xenoblade better.
Yeah, they could. They very well
That's
could.
what they did with Xenoblade X. Xenoblade X, from what I heard, because I didn't finish it yet, makes it more in line with the Xenoblade games.
Yeah, I still need to sit around and do that at some point. Finish
I was
X.
waiting. I was waiting for the upgrade, but honestly, I kind of don't want to play the upgrade now.
Yeah, it's like a catch 22 now. It's like you want your 60 or you want the game kind of
I
looking
want the
somewhat
game to actually
nice.
look good. Yeah.
So
Which,
it's
oh
like
my,
performance
they
or
need to fix
quality.
that.
Huh?
They fixed that. I'm going back. I'll
Yeah.
give it that.
All right.
But
But
that's it though.
yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of everything that we had to talk about with pretty much all of our SubQuest topics. So that will lead us into the final topic of the night, that being what's in the main missions. All right, Steven. So now this is the final topic of the night. And we did manage to actually get an update from Sony. Because with all this backlash that we've been able to get, oh shoot, it was so annoying. Every single gosh dang post, you are able to actually see people fuming at the mouth. You talk about some rabid street dogs, some rabid rats or something like that. Like people that got like rabies or something like that. Like they were eating Sony alive up in these tweets. Even if it
Sony
wasn't
deserves
necessary,
it.
hold up here. Even if it was a tweet that they retweeted and it wasn't anything to do with them, people were still chewing them up. It's like, hey, look, Sony, we ain't gonna let you go or whatever. Though those are the ones that really got on my nerves because it's like, well, they're not necessarily tied with Sony. It made sense, like obviously, like let's say if it was a Wolverine post, something about their PlayStation DualSense controllers or whatever, though, those ones made a 100% sense. Eat them up, whatever you wanted to do. But if it was like just some random old indie studio that just also happened to be putting their game out on PlayStation, but they very well could be putting out a model on, Switch 2, Xbox, or even on PC, and they were getting eat alive in the comments. That was where I kind of started to draw the lines. Like, all right, y'all going a little bit too far right now, though, because obviously
No, I think it's
those
good.
indie games, they probably would put a game physical because it probably wouldn't even been in their budget. So outside of small examples like that, the other ones that I mentioned, like their first party stuff, their hardware, those obviously made a lot of sense, and they're still going hot and heavy up on it, like on community notes and stuff like that. Shoot, they ain't playing around with this mess no more.
I'm fine with it because honestly, maybe it will push them not to put their game on fucking PlayStation next time, like their next game. Like I want PlayStation to like see the consequences. So yeah, like the only way that's gonna happen is if people don't give up, and they PlayStation sees that their fans are passionate and want physical games.
Well, you say
That's
all
the
of that
only.
stuff, but let's see where the proof is in the pudding. So with
We're
it
not
being
talking about the
around,
goddamn stats again because
no,
the
no, no,
stats
no,
are
no, no,
wrong.
no, 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 no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something else.
Okay.
Because with it being fiscal reporting numbers, which technically I like to talk, it's kind of weird how they
Talking
came out with some of those
stats.
numbers or whatever though. Like with how many copies like the PS5 happened to sell or whatever though. But I knew when it was roughly around an investor briefing, that's when they were going to have to address the elephant in the room because they weren't going to be able to slide that past their investors though. So this is literally what they said verbatim with all the backlash. So they said, we announced from January 2028 and onward, we will no longer be manufacturing game discs. So we announced it 1.5 years ahead, she said via Sony's interpreter. There are various reasons we made this decision. The biggest being that digitalization of content overall has been progressing. That's the big factor. It's not just for PlayStation, but for all kinds of content. Digitalization is progressing. And so when we think about the future, we put in a lot of thought and time and we cautiously considered this. And we came to a conclusion that we're going to cautiously move this forward. That's basically Sony in a nutshell addressing the elephant in the room, which kind of makes sense because a decision this big is probably beyond the division of just PlayStation itself. This is basically from their higher ups, Sony as a big overall business, like we're just not doing these Blu-rays anymore, which is kind of one of the reasons why when you walk into a Best Buy nowadays, though, it's really hard to buy a Blu-ray movie or something like that. They used to have like a whole DVD Blu-ray section. They don't
They
even have
still
that
make
mess.
them for
They
every
still make
movie.
them. They still make them, but it's like it's more like an a la carte kind of thing. It's like you're kind of having to go out and make sure you pre-order this. You're shipping it straight up to your door because you're not just going to easily walk into a store and buy it off the shelf. They're not making them that readily available. It's kind of what I'm getting at. So yeah,
Maybe over there, I still see them like all the time. Like when you go to the tech section in like a Target or a Walmart or a Best Buy, I'm still seeing them.
maybe at
I
your locations, probably because would it be in New York, but in mine, it dwindled to pretty much nothing at my store now anymore.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh
Either
gosh.
either way, fact of the matter is that like every other piece of media has a physical avenue. They still make vinyls for fucking music, and that's a lot more outdated. Like they, vinyls are a lot more outdated than something like CDs, but they still make vinyls because there's an audience for it. You cannot tell me that there's not enough of an audience for physical games. That is untrue. They could say whatever they want about how digital is more, but that's because they're counting stuff like Fortnite and all the free games in the digital count. The fact of the matter is, they just want to plug their ears and go, nah, 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 I'm not listening. And no, it is a terrible decision. I'm not backing down. I'm not gonna buy any Sony shit either. I'm not gonna buy Wolverine. I'm not gonna buy this. Okay? They have really pissed me off. You can tell me your thoughts on Wolverine, on this, on that, fucking God of War Laufey. I'm not buying any
Oh,
Sony shit
I
unless
ain't
they
buying
reverse
God of War
this.
Laufey because that's not my cup of tea. Wolverine I'm
Alright,
getting
just
because that's
giving
Marvel,
an
and
example.
that might be Insomniac's last physical game. Believe it or not, that's kind of crazy. But
That's the problem. It's terrible. Even there's rumors about how even Xbox is like, yep, we're still gonna do physical into the next gen. And Xbox is the company I expected to go all digital first.
which
I don't
kind of
know, man.
reminds me, dang, I might need to go out and grab a physical copy of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 because both those games I technically have digital
This is
because of
the
the way
first
I
step.
like.
Yeah, Zard, think about it like this. It starts with no discs. And then they're gonna start actually taking your games away and the licenses are gonna run out.
No, I mean the new future
It's
is
gonna
where we have
happen.
physical and digital right now. The new future will basically be where you have digital and streaming, and then at that point, people are going to gravitate towards the digital versus streaming. Because if the future was completely all streamable, unless it was flawless,
Okay.
that's
And what
probably where
happens
I will probably pull the plug. Is when
and
the
what
when the gaming future is
happens
all streaming. That's probably where I will personally pull the plug. At that point, I'll probably have too many games to play, And at that point, I'll just be a retro person. That's probably where I'll pull the plug. I won't pull it
Well,
all digital, but all streaming. It's something about that
this is
latency
a
or
huge
whatever.
step.
But it's a stepping point, kind of like how we went from physical to digital at that point. But yeah.
Well, okay. Well, physical to digital was always like a convenience thing. It was because, back in the day, it was like, oh wow, you could download it directly from your home, and it's good for smaller games that wouldn't normally get it's good for small games that would normally never get a physical release. It's good for those games to get seen. Indie games really thrived from the digital release structure. Fact of the matter is, we're in an age where even more and more indie games are getting physicals. So this makes less sense. There is no incentive to go all. What is the incentive to go all physical for the consumer? What does the consumer gain from this? Just answer. Riddle me that, Zard. What does the consumer gain from Sony going all digital?
Okay. At one point, I think you said all physical. Going
Sorry,
all
all
digital.
What does the
No, I mean
consumer gain?
no, there's no benefit for the consumer whatsoever because
Yeah,
at that
so I have
point
no reason to support them.
Sony owns the monopoly in their store. It's like, hey, all of our sales is going to be done through this, even if you get the stinking code in the box at the retailer store.
Okay, and that's unfair.
Yeah.
They're already increasing the price of the console all the fucking time, and they want more money? Are you kidding me? PS6 is going to be $1,000, and that's not good enough for you? No, fuck them. No, genuinely, like, Sony, you're a fucking terrible company, and you deserve all they have is PlayStation. Like, Microsoft is a giant fucking company. Microsoft could stop doing gaming tomorrow, and I'm sure they would be fine. Sony, it's like, if PlayStation dies, Sony's really not going to last much longer. So no, they're kind of squeezing out as much money, and this is a sinking ship. Look at Nintendo over here. They're not focusing on graphics. This AI boom really isn't affecting them that much. All things considered, Nintendo did what they had to do, and they still kind of we raised the price of our console, but we gave you notice and we put out a new bundle.
Which the
So you can
bundle is basically the same as Mario Kart World, but
Yeah.
you have more options. So even though it is a price increase, it's very
That's
similar to our previous other SKUs, so it doesn't really feel awful at this
And
point.
even then, they made it so you can buy a Switch 2 with Nintendo Store credit, and Nintendo Store credit goes on sale all the time. So realistically, you're still going to be able to get a Nintendo Switch for around $400 if you know where to look.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's still the cheapest option on the market, even at $500.
Yeah, it's cheapest way to get in. It's either $500 to get in the door now, or $650 to get in the door with PlayStation or Xbox. Well, technically a little cheaper, but
or you get a
if you're just talking about physical,
you're good. Yeah, or you just get a PC and you ignore all of it. Get a Switch 2, get a PC, you can play almost everything, and happy ending. God, I fucking hate I'm sorry, I fucking hate PlayStation so much right now. It's valid. I think anyone that is refusing to buy PlayStation right now is, valid for thinking that, because the fact of the matter is they are doing this completely against the consumers. Like, obviously, I know it's a company, they don't care about the people, but the fact of the matter is it's still their job as a company to make a product that I want. And I'm sorry, I don't want any of the shit they're selling me, and they're not giving me discs.
Yeah, so the thing I find will be really curious about this whole ordeal, the first big stepping stone to all of this is truly seeing, are people willing to put their money where their mouth is, or is this, I don't think this is necessarily the case, but is a vocal minority really trying to push a narrative? I don't really think that's honestly the case. Like I think it is like legitimately. I think it is a good amount of people complaining. Even if someone were like mostly buying most of their games all digital, a lot of people still understand the purpose of still having physical games, because then there's some people like me, I might buy some things physical, I might buy some things digital, because the digital might be cheaper this way, but then sometimes the physical might be cheaper this way though. Okay. But when GTA 6 comes out on the market, I don't want to see these people that are saying boycott this, boycott that, boycott this, and you turn around and you buy GTA 6 because that's basically an all digital game. I don't want to hear it.
Code,
So we're going to have to
code,
test and
oh
see
yeah,
these numbers.
code in a box is even worse, honestly. That's honestly even worse than what they're doing now. But like, fact of the matter, Zard, is that the only people, especially think about it like this: people that live in more low income areas, or people that have limited data plans, or even let's just say you live in a rural area and you don't really get great internet. You're gonna fucking hate the all digital future. It's gonna take you like 2 days to download a single game, depending on how bad your internet is.
Shoot, my grandparents' house,
And
their
what
download
happens
speed is
when
like at 5 megabits per second. And I kid you not.
what
If I
what
had my
happens
system
when
over
you
there
lose
trying to download
access?
some stuff, it would be awful. So there are people out there that have like really slow internet for better or for worse. So yeah, for people like
Another
that would
question:
literally suck.
what happens when PlayStation has another outage like they did a couple of days ago? I don't know if you remember. PlayStation
Oh,
Network was
yep.
down for 12 hours. People weren't able to download any of the games that they didn't have downloaded to their console. All digital future's working fucking wonders, dude. And then what happens when Sony has a security breach? Everyone's accounts get hacked. What if everyone's accounts get hacked, people's accounts get deleted? You lose your games. You don't own your games anymore. You own the license. And if you don't have your account information, Sony can't guarantee you shit.
No, yeah, that's true. Cause
This
with the
is
way how
this
these games are
oh,
ballooning in terms of their raw file sizes and stuff, and the fact that memory ain't getting cheaper now with this AI boom either, there's only so much space that you're able to put up
you could
on
really
your
only put three
system.
games on a system. You could really only
I'm
fit
trying to
three
look.
games.
Where's my phone at? I'm wondering
GTA
on the
6 is
PlayStation
probably going to
app.
be GTA 6 is probably going to be around the 300 gigabyte range. Pretty sure the newest Call of Duty is also around 300
It
gigabytes.
was like
And then,
two. I thought it was 200 something, but yeah.
all right, well, either way, Zard, the fact of the matter is that you buy a PS5 for fucking $700 at this point, and then you still have to pay $200 for an extra storage.
Yeah, because like right now, I'm just looking at my storage spot. Because I had the launch day edition of the PS5 that had basically not even quite 800 gigabytes, not even a full
Yeah,
terabyte or whatever
exactly.
though. And I'm just looking at the games I had up on there, like my biggest ones. Ghost of Tsushima, 61 gigs. The Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5 was like 51. Persona 5 Royal was like 39 gigs or whatever though. Marvel Spider-Man, the PS5 remaster one, that was like 55 gigs, and Miles Morales is like 40. That
Even
along
though
with
yeah,
a
those aren't
handful
that
of other
bad.
ones. Those aren't too terrible though, but like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have about 15 games on the console storage itself, and it's about maxed out. On my external storage, where I have like the M2 SSD up on there, that one's a 2 terabyte one I have plug up in there. And out of that 2 terabytes, I only have 141 gigs left. And so
Yeah,
like the big
it's
ones on that one I have
Jesus.
is like 007 First Light at 51 gigs, Monster Hunter Stories 3 at like 39. Scroll down a little bit more. Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, 107 gigs on that one. Sea of Thieves, 96. Street Fighter 6, 98. Final Fantasy 16, 112. Like some of these kind of add up fairly quick. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, you know how big that game is. That came on 2 discs. That's 147 right there. And then like Call of Duty Black Ops 3, that's like 83. And Hogwarts Legacy is like 80. So combine
Yeah,
those with
no.
a handful of other ones, unless you get like the smaller, like mid-average third-party games, this stuff adds up awfully quick.
Sony is holding your games hostage, and they are telling you it's a good thing. Do you think about it like this, Zard? Nintendo, they're charging like less for digital, which you could say whatever you want about that. Like technically, Fire Emblem should have never been $80 in the first place, but they're still charging. As much as I hate that, they technically are still charging less for the digital. You really think PlayStation's going to charge less now that it's going to be physical only? No. GTA 6 is $80 even though it's just code in a box. GTA 6 is $80 no matter where you get it. They're gonna make more money, and then think about it like this. I'm pretty sure half of the time, Zard, you go on GameStop, you can get a used game for like $20 when it's like 60 on the PlayStation Store.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have complete control over the market. I guarantee you're gonna see a lot less like deals. You're gonna see games go on sale a lot less on the PlayStation Store. And it's gonna I personally think this is all gonna fall apart on them extremely quickly.
Yeah.
I honestly good. I want gaming to have another crash. Gaming needs another crash.
It
But like,
probably does.
Nintendo will survive it, so I don't really care. As long as Nintendo survives it and I still have like, my fucking Splatoon and my 3D Mario, I kind of don't care what happens to PlayStation. I like the occasional games, but anything I would have wanted to play on PlayStation, I could just play on PC. I don't care about their exclusives. They're all movie games right now. You make some interesting games PlayStation and I'll care. Like especially like everything right now, PlayStation is just a massive L. Have you heard about that Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls thing?
Yeah, I
Or
heard
that
the
Marvel Tokon
PC
game?
version, I guess, ain't running too hot. I just been playing some of the
Well, it
betas and stuff
also
on PS5, but
it's also the fact it requires a PlayStation account even when you're on PC. It's ridiculous.
mm. And then I also went through and counted my list. I think I got like 30-ish games. That's on that 2 terabyte one. So between that and the console storage, it's about I got like a little north of 40-ish games, but a good chunk of those ones that got it up to that average that quick, there were like some games I have that I own that's like averaging around 25 gigs, give or take, a little more give than versus take. So yeah, so the stuff adds up quick, especially if you're not one of those people that's able to get like one of those 2 terabytes or sometimes even 4 terabyte things. And if the games keep on getting bigger from here, not everybody's going to be able to hold on to all those games because now, with it being purely digital and stuff, you have to go back to the servers and download those games every time you have to delete something to make space for another thing. With you not having the option to download it off the disc, that's going to eat up some data awfully quick. And then now you're relying on servers and stuff to always constantly get other games when you want to play and switch off,
Yeah.
than versus just burning it off of a disc. So,
What happens when the PS5 servers eventually go offline? I'm not saying it will happen, but what if they did? You lose your games.
well, I guess we'll get alluded to that with the PS4 technically first, because that'll be step number one before even the PS5 will technically.
Yeah, I guess PS3 is finally shutting down now, so I'm hoping. Which, by the way, that's still also like really, like you kept it on this long. It's really costing you that much money that you have to take it off.
Yeah, but here's the deal though too. Even though the PS3 stores will technically be shut down, if you bought a game digitally, you should still be able to access and technically re-download that.
Because
it's kind of it's the same way how like the Nintendo 3DS, like you can still do that even though the eShop is closed. You can still do that mess even on the Nintendo Wii, which is like the oldest Nintendo store that you can do it with. So they still keep them running for anything you buy. It's just more so we're not supporting you buying anything else brand new. So I don't know. We hadn't seen like anything go completely radio silent. Like we're pulling the plug on everything. When the day like that finally happens, then you're gonna have some truly good outrage or something like that. That's gonna happen. So we'll see. But
yeah, we'll see.
But outside of that, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say or bring up. It just seems like Sony's gonna hold fast. They ain't turning this ship around. It's high seas, people shooting on them, throwing the torches, trying to burn them, get them off the sea, but they keep pushing forward.
Good. Well, yeah, those people are in the right. Those people are, in my opinion, completely in the right. The all digital future is nothing but the death of the industry.
All right, and with those last wise words that you happen to throw out here for us, though, that's the wrong little button, though. That's basically gonna do it in terms of my ZardCast episode for this week, though. So honestly, once again, I did not expect the pop culture segment, or particularly with the Marvel segment, to go nearly as long as where we thought it was going to be, about an hour and a half. Well, so we kind of made it. We made it up and managed to squeeze the gaming related stuff within the last hour afterwards. So this is roughly about a 2.5 hour podcast. We still were throwing y'all a
we
bone.
didn't do one last week, so we kind of made up for it.
Yeah.
This is a final hurrah to the Sunday shows. How about that?
Yeah,
Call it that.
yeah, we can call it like that. So yeah, once again, in case you missed her or need a reminder, this is the last time we're doing this podcast episode on a Sunday night. From this point moving forward, we'll switch it to the every other Thursday nights moving from this point forward, just due to the way how our schedules happen to align in terms of trying to do these live and stuff though. So just kind of keep that all in mind. So the next podcast episode, if I were to throw out like an actual date, assuming if nothing gets delayed or held back or nothing like that, it won't be this Thursday on the 6th, but it'll be the Thursday after that on the 13th. So it won't be a full 2 weeks from this current episode to the next one, because we got to get on that Thursday schedule. So overall, not too bad of an episode. Not too bad. A lot of Marvel stuff going on. It felt good talking all good things Marvel, the good stuff, along with some little mixed stuff, but mostly good this time than versus mixed or purely bad stuff.
Yeah,
so I'll welcome that. I'll welcome that.
Trust me, I was glad to actually talk about stuff I liked involving Marvel. I don't like always talking about stuff I don't like.
Yeah, so not too bad, not too bad. And with all of that being said, that's basically going to do it in terms of this one episode right here. So, Steven, let the fine people know where they can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter at StevenJr1231, where I go on streams with my friend. It's on YouTube. His name is Yoshinator. We do streams from time to time. You know, Fortnite, other games, some Splatoon Raiders once in a while. We've been really enjoying that. But I've just mostly been there.
Alrighty. And with all that being said, I just want to say once again, thank you all for supporting the show. It's been an honor being able to do these on the Sunday nights. It's going to feel a little weird doing them on Thursday nights now, all things considering, but maybe we'll be able to catch some news and be able to kind of quickly give it to you a little faster if something crazy happens to transpire between the Monday and the Thursday before that Thursday night when we happen to air it though. But yeah, that's going to truly do it in terms of our ZardCast episode 127. So if you really like this podcast, make sure you're going to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button to stay up to date on all things gaming related I feel like talking about and discussing. If you happen to be listening to this podcast after the fact on one of my audio-only outlets, such as Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, yes, you can listen to me in the car as well. Be sure to leave like a 5-star review. Just let people know, hey, we're just a couple dudes that just love to talk about everything gaming related, pop culture, Marvel, when we got some good Marvel stuff to talk about, and everything else in between. But yeah, that's going to truly do it in terms of this one episode right here, though. So remember, y'all, until our video I make next, until my next ZardCast episode, that being episode 128, if I believe I'm right, I'll see y'all later.